Guilty of crime.
And we're back. Hello, everybody. What's up? I'm Jay with Guilty of Crime. And if you're new, come on in, guys. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't. Get a membership if you can. I also set the goal today. If y'all want to help with that. All right, I've ordered books that we've got coming in. We're giving those away. We're going to CrimeCon in about 3.5 weeks or so. We're going to have a big party. All right. And it's not going to be all just true crime, right? We're going to talk about whatever we want to talk about, which is nice because on here, we just stick to true crime, which is better, right? So guys, welcome in. Happy Monday. If you're tired, wake up because we're just getting started. My goodness, have I seen a lot of things swirling this internet on Nancy Guthrie this weekend. And boy, do I can't wait to just dig in because the longer that we make suppositions, the more conspiracy theories are going to come out. All right. So let me say hello and thank you, first of all, to Danielle 888 for becoming a official Crime Crew member. And then shout out to Lady for Justice, member for 16 months. Let's get this party started. And then Jax, I'm so glad for you to be back. Member for 18 months, best crew there is. Thank you, thank you, thank you. May the 4th be with you, right? Yeah, there you go. Whatever you say. And then tomorrow's Cinco de Mayo for those that celebrate that or just want an excuse to have a drink. All right, that damn tinfoil effect, right? It just keeps on coming. Jen's a Gypsy, how you doing? Sky Angel, how are you? Lena, Cuff you. Good to see you. Kel, glad you're here. I think Mama Pearl's in the house. What's up? Hey, Mom, how are you doing? Hopefully you had a good Monday. Yeah, I think Foxy's going to come in a little bit, but hey, we're here. Let's do this. There's a lot in this case that is just kind of spinning out of control a bit. And I guess rightfully so. When you have no real new information, people are going to just start making things up, right? Hey, Cal, good to see you. And Edith, she said margaritas. Krista, how are you doing? Good to see you, my friend. Cuff you, Joanne, everybody's it's so lovely to have you guys back on a Monday. I do miss you on the weekend, but on the weekend is weird. I notice a lot of people streaming on the weekend, and it's cool. It's all good because I'm watching too. There's like 5-hour streams on, a supposition and then call-ins, which gets us through the day. But on a Monday and a Tuesday, all the way through Friday from 4 Pacific Standard Time to 6 p.m., we're doing true crime here. And I'll hopefully get stuff sorted out that you might have heard that might just be a little too clickbaity, all right? But you never know. You never know. The social media sleuths may help to solve this case like they did in the Brian Laundrie case. All right, y'all. Happy Monday. We got to make it through just a little bit more. Sadie's mama, big hug. Good to see you. Gigi, how you doing? Much love to you all. Yeah, I miss you guys too. And trust me, I see you around the YouTube streets, but I don't want to go around other people's channels and be, and just be talking and be messing up their flow. So let me just start off with this real quick, and then I'll get into day 93 and what we're here for. Okay. This is what's going down like right now. And they have a Nancy Guthrie mystery coming out on Wednesday. So that's part of everything that we're talking about today.
Debut the Nancy Guthrie mystery. The 1-hour documentary will unravel the twists, turns, and unanswered questions surrounding the case of the missing 84-year-old, the mother of television host Savannah Guthrie. The piece will bring together key voices connected to the case, offering new insights and perspectives into the shocking unsolved crime. News Nation senior correspondent Brian Enton joins us this morning. He has spent weeks on the scene of this crime and brings us this documentary Wednesday night. Brian, thank you for being with us this morning.
And I want you to, right here is, I pick certain things that I align with, obviously, to tell a story. And in the story that I tell in the Nancy Guthrie case, it's somebody that's connected to the family or near. Now, you guys know 92% of all women, and it's women, 92% of all will say killers know. 92% of a killer knows the woman or the person in some way, whether it is somebody that's at the bowling alley, somebody that works at a grocery store. 92% that it's not just a random opportunity. And we're going to talk about that today because there's a cactus thief. With all of the media and all of the police coverage, we still got people out there stealing cactus plants and doing things that you just can't even imagine. So if that's happening out there, would we have paid attention to it if this hadn't happened to Nancy? All right, but my theory is in line with, and I got to tell you, I absolutely believe there's a core person and then people that are surrounding them. And the reason I think so is because of the way the investigation has been led. Now, FBI is taking over for the most part, and let's get into that.
Thanks so much for having me, Mike. I appreciate it.
So you gathered together a group of some of the top criminologists to look at this case. What did you learn?
Yeah, it was really, really fascinating. We've been covering the Nancy Guthrie disappearance since she vanished back on February 1st. I got there on February 2nd, and I've basically been in Tucson ever since. And it's such a mystery. I never would have thought, 3 months later now, we still wouldn't have answers about how this 84-year-old woman literally just disappeared in the middle of the night from her very, very quiet home right outside Tucson, Arizona. So in this special, we go back to the beginning. We go through all of the exclusive information that we've been able to uncover. We have sources within the investigation who speak out. And then it's really interesting. We interview some of the top criminal profilers in the world.
Which I hope FBI is in on or taking a lesson from. I hope that, and I hope, not only I hope, but I truly, truly believe that very soon we're going to get a break in the case and they're going to tell us about it. FBI is working on this case. This is not a cold case, my friends. FBI has real tangible evidence and it's coming. All right. So be patient. Let's kind of stay on track about what's going on in this case and not go too far left, too far right. Let's kind of stay in the middle. But I am still going to bring you back to Tommaso Cioni today. And guess who? Annie, who made a map. Did anyone know about the map that the killer knew? How did Annie know the map of a killer? Why are theories still being put out there that Nancy never made it home that night? And why do people think that the plant thief may be the person involved? I mean, how many other people have we seen doing this kind of thing with different cars? I mean, they can't be that stupid, right? Yeah, I can't lie. I can tell. All right, let's continue. This is going to come out Wednesday. I hope that it helps to put perspective on the case. And then I hope we get some break very soon. FBI does have information that they're not sharing with us.
We got 3 of them together in one room to go through all of the info that we obtained and tell us who they believe could be responsible for Nancy Guthrie's disappearance.
And we want to play a clip from your discussion with one of those criminologists. This is Dr. Gary Brucato. Let's take a look.
They do.
Amateur hour kind of quality is interesting also and suggests to me a difference in intelligences. some schemer behind the scenes and this character who was just sort of hired or asked to do this. I think we would all agree this is not a professional that we saw here. I also don't believe this person worked alone.
So you think there's more people involved?
I think there is a little group of people, and that's great because the more people involved, the better for getting it solved.
All right, interesting perspective there. So from all of your reporting and the sources you've developed over the last months, do investigators believe this case is going cold?
No, they're very serious when they say that they don't believe that it's a cold case. There's still thousands of leads that they're going through. There's this task force that they've set up in Tucson made up of the local sheriff's detectives and also the FBI, and all they do is work on this case full time. So I personally don't believe it's going cold just based on everything I know. But you heard the Dr. Mercado say there, one of the profilers we interviewed, that there's this belief that there could be more than one person involved, in that Ring doorbell case.
And guys, I can't imagine that there's not more than one person involved. And let me tell you why. I don't think this was supposed to be a kidnapping / ransom kidnapping. I think it was an afterthought. Something bad happened. Nancy either didn't make it, or when she made it out, they knew she was already, there was not going to be no proof of life. But I absolutely believe there's more than one person, and not because more than one person couldn't do this, because Brian Koberger, I believe 110% did that by himself. However, if you follow the leads and you've been following the actual investigation and not just side sleuths that really don't have anything tangible, you will see who's in front of you and what circle they're bringing to the table. And that circle comes right back to the 92% of people that knew Nancy or Savannah or the family. Okay, so, and I am, right after this, I'm going to show you the map. We're just not going to talk yet about it, because right at the top of the hour, I'm going straight to Tommaso and then right back to Annie again. Why is Jennifer Coffindoffer trying so hard to clear Tommaso and Annie? What is she gaining out of that? And nobody's been cleared. Why would that be?
Camera, you see the one guy with the mask on, but is it possible that he had a boss? And Dr. Picado called it almost a chef and a waiter sort of relationship, where someone was in charge and that person who we saw wasn't actually the mastermind behind the whole thing. It's one of the theories that we explore in the documentary.
All right, and you can catch that documentary Wednesday night on St. Louis 11, the Nancy Guthrie mystery. News Nation correspondent Brian.
All right, cool. So let's check that out, you guys. We'll try to stay focused with what's actually going on in the case. I'm going to put this up just for a minute. And Krista, I'm glad you've seen this. I don't understand for the life of me why Annie Guthrie would know the route of a killer, number one. Number two, they've never done an actual search effort for Nancy. We've never seen a public search effort that goes out there and they get their stakes to touch the stuff on the ground by the family or law enforcement, by the Pima County Sheriffs, and they don't even want EquiSearch in. So why is it that Annie Guthrie gave a map to the police about the killer's route, but it was kept low key and they're not out searching? Well, this weekend I heard you don't search for what you know. You don't search for something when you already know where it is. All right. If you know where something is, why search for it? Yeah, Chris. So Krista's like, hey, I've seen this last month. Well, if my mom were missing and you saw this last month and you didn't tell me so I can go out there and search, I'd surely be pissed off. I'd be like, why in the hell did you not tell me? I would have drove that route 100 different times, different ways, with different people to look for different clues and cameras. Why did we not hear about this? All right. Yes, that too. It just doesn't make sense. Make it make sense. And I will. Well, Patriot Pride's in the house. What's up, buddy? Good to see you. This guy was popping this weekend. I was listening in. I didn't want to, I don't like hopping in on creator stuff and then people guilty of crime. What's up? I don't want to mess you up, but y'all were doing great, Patriot. You guys had like 1,500 in chat, just chopping up what's going on. Yes, I don't even cuss that often on here, but fucking unreal is right. And we're going to get back to that. But you want to know another thing that's fucking unreal? I'm going to tell you right now what's unreal to me, because it keeps going back to the same thing. No matter how much research I do, it comes back to the same thing. So I'm going to leave that up there for a second, just so you can see a picture of Tommaso with, and I'm going to read it after in a second. Jennifer Coffindaffer, whatever, saying how much of an angel and wouldn't you're going to get sued if it just, this is out of pocket. Nobody, and I mean nobody, should say this about anybody unless they've actually been cleared. This is going to make us do this, guys. Actually, let me go back. Let me do this. This is why. This is going to make us do this. And this is also going to make us do this. So Annie says, go look that way. Here's a map. We're not searching ourselves. We didn't give that out to anybody to make it really tangible. But I'm going to hand this to law enforcement to show them to go that way, because that way is really where it was. Do you know what I'm saying? And 92% chance that it is an inside job or a family member. Holly, thank you for getting us kicked off with $1.99. Appreciate you guys. Man, everything is like skyrocketed. You know, gas in San Jose, guys, is $7.29 a gallon. I'm not kidding. $7.20. Next time I get gas, I'm going to take a picture. $7 a gallon, guys. All right. Thank you, Holly. I appreciate that so greatly. It's wild. 92%. Yes. All right. Sadie's mama member for as long as you ever possibly could be. Why search for something when you know it's when you know where it is? Exactly. All right. But why wouldn't you have, why? Just why? Okay. And I say that to say this. Let me say this, guys. We're on day 93. All right. Today marks the 93rd day since 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie vanished from her home on January 31st to February 1st. Now, some people still say, and we're going to talk about that today. Some of you guys still don't believe that Nancy ever made it home. You guys think it's staged, and the staging started from the time Tommaso or Annie had her in the car. Maybe she never made it home. Again, 92% of all killers, all people know their killer in some way. All right. Now, today's May 4th, 2026, and the investigation remains very active and very unsolved without any public identified suspects. Okay. So as we go into the actual tangible evidence that the FBI has, the FBI has the strongest possible evidence right now. They've got the doorbell camera footage showing the masked man and other footage that they have not obviously released to us. The armed man at the front door that they say is 2 separate occasions or just hours before she disappeared, right? New CCTV footage from a nearby home has revived hope. Although authorities confirm that whether it shows the same suspect, they do have DNA evidence, including hair samples that are being analyzed right this very second, and multiple ransom notes that demand Bitcoin with IP addresses attached to them and real people on the other end. Now, it's weird because despite the national and international attention of the $1.2 million reward, no suspect has been identified, and the motive still remains very unclear. Okay, as of today, Pima County Sheriff and FBI say the case is ongoing and active, and they're urging anybody with information to please come forward. Nobody thinks that Nancy is alive anymore, so I want you guys to know that. All right, I'm going to read this. I just kind of disgust me because I don't know how you can say this about the family. I don't know how you could say this about anyone that has not been cleared. And then I'm going to show you something else. And this is why it made the thumbnail cover today, was because when Tommaso was doing this, it reminded me of the way he knocked the masked man knocked on the door. Now, whether it's him or not, you guys can decide that. We're all over the place. So this was day 90 when Coffindaffer said, but below is Nancy's son-in-law. His name is Tommaso Cioni. Some think he abducted and murdered Nancy. Some think he's a porch guy. Despite the obvious facial features, some believe he is a puppeteer who hired the porch guy who took Nancy. They also have confirmation bias and see what they want to see. Mr. Sione. He's a teacher, he's a husband and a father, he's a mushroom hunter, and he likes to cook. He likes Nancy, he took care of her, he played board games with her, they were family. Who will the family sue when this is all over for defaming a guy, all because he drove his mother-in-law of 20 years back home instead of making her take an Uber? He's Italian, has a beard, and sings in a grunge band. All right, let's take a look at this because we don't get a lot of pictures of Tommaso, and especially not where he's moving, where we can see his features, where we can see. And when I played this, I was like, damn, it just reminded me of that knock on the door. All right. And I was like, I got it. I'm not gonna put the music up, and I'll probably play it a couple of times so you can see. I paused it several times for myself because it reminded me of how they knocked on the door. All right, when the porch guy came to the porch, I've always said that it looked like he was tapping on the screen. Okay, I'm gonna play this again. I do not want, exactly, calling the kettle black, saying the same thing. All right, look at this man, look at his motions, and when he does this, I'll try to pause it this time. I tried to several times earlier, and I finally captured it, and I was like, damn, why does that look familiar? And I was like, oh yeah, that's what makes it look familiar. When the porch guy was at the front door doing this, all I can remember is this motion. You don't see much of him, and I'm not saying 110% that it's this guy. What I'm telling you is it's a 92% chance that it's somebody that the person or people know, number one, and the way he did that, he was telling them, come here, just reminded me of the way the person at the door was like, bam, 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 on the screen door. All right. The mannerism too. This is not the first time. This is absolutely not the first time that I've seen that. And so I'm like, you know what? Look at this. I got to play it for them. I just let them see it themselves. Let's do it again. I'm not going to play music, but I just want you to see it. And then we'll move on to Annie and the map and everything else that's going on. I know but here's the thing. There's absolutely, in my opinion, more than one person that has got into the mix at this point. I'm telling you, when he did that with his hand, did it not? I mean, again, I wasn't trying to compare it. I just was doing my research for the day, and I said, "Damn, why does that look so familiar?" And then I paused it, and I watched it about 10 more times, and I said, "Oh, okay." Right there, he looks like Sid Haig. He actually looks like that character from House of a Thousand Corpses in that last one. But do you see that? That reminds me of the knock at the door. And again, a lot of people say, hold on, I dropped my vape. A lot of people say that it wasn't even a knock at the door. Some people were saying it was just a straight up, hey, let me get the camera down, which I don't believe, because you cannot pull a camera down with your hand open like this. All right. So I do believe the person or people that walked up, banged on the screen door, and then realized, oh, we covered this up. Hey, dude, let me in. Come on, bro. What are you doing? All right. Same gate. Yeah. I did you see that? That was the first time I saw that. And yeah, it does. I mean, we can go to this guy, we can go to this guy, we can come back to this guy, or we can go to this. I mean, either way. All right. Now we're going to continue because I got a lot to talk about. Let me finish playing this. And then I just want you to realize nobody is ruled out at this point. Not even Savannah. And I'm not saying she did anything, but nobody should be ruled out. All right. That damn knock. It just got me. I hadn't seen this before. She's painting him out as an angel. And I'm like, damn, where is that coming from? It was kind of bothering me that I couldn't understand why I was having what do you call that? Deja vu. All right. You guys make your own decisions. Whatever your theory is, there's no wrong theory at this point. So it doesn't really matter. We really can't tell. You say porch guy's a lefty. But yeah, they all same shoes, same legs, same gait, same bow. I know a lot of people that are ambidextrous and they use both hands. All right, now we're going to go to this, which I know was a big deal over the weekend. And then after that, I'll read the article. I know this was a big deal over the weekend. And this is really good footage from Nerdy Addict, the gray F-150 that pulled into the driveway about 0.6 miles or half a mile from Nancy's home. Now, before the driver got out and stole the pots filled with cactus, I still can't understand that. The guy's wearing a mask, baseball gloves, baseball cap, gloves, jeans, and black shoes. Everyone, this lit up the internet this weekend, and I'm pretty sure it's a nothing burger, but I'm very surprised that these people have the audacity to do this in that area when law enforcement and FBI is out there. All right, I don't think this has, it doesn't have volume, but I just want you to see the view of it because it's pretty clear. I just cannot imagine. Is this guy purposely trying to get in trouble? Why do that? All right, now, yeah, both of my children are ambidextrous. 333. There's 333 people in the house. Please say a prayer that Nancy Guthrie gets brought home. Okay, so I mean, why on earth would a person like this? Now, this happens all the time in San Jose, right? It happens all the time in San Jose. I see people posted up on Doorbell or Ring saying their stuff got stolen. And then you see these people at the flea market selling their stuff. That happens. It does. But it doesn't happen in an area where an 84-year-old woman is missing and being investigated for a robbery possibly gone wrong. Yeah, ambidextrous is not really that big of a deal, and it's just a preference. My son is left-handed, I thought, but now he's ambidextrous. I thought my daughter was right-handed, but she uses her left and her right. It's really not that big of a thing. All right, so let's pull that down. I'm going to read an article and just going to get into everything, guys. I really want to kind of set this on the right track for Wednesday. All right, now, Men's Journal. Don't know why it came out in Men's Journal, but May 4th, 2026, Nancy Guthrie, latest updates, sheriff releases decision on masked man. Okay, again, this is May 4th at 3:25 in the morning. Now, you guys probably saw this all weekend. FBI released door cam images of masked suspect in Nancy Guthrie's kidnapping case. Authorities determine alleged plant thief near Guthrie's home is not related to the case. DNA, hair evidence, and genetic genealogy are the key focus right now. This case remains unsolved. But that's why I wanted to go over it, because there are so many things that are just spreading like wildfires. Lucky Lady, what's up? Good to see you, my friend. Come on in, hit that like button. Don't forget, all right? Don't forget to hit that like button, share, all that. Get yourself a membership. I will gift memberships when we get into the maps. And why would Annie put out a map that was super low key and then never search for it? All right. So you guys know several videos showing masked men have made their way to the public eye in the wake of the abduction of Nancy Guthrie, the 84-year-old mother of the Today Show host, Savannah Guthrie. First, the FBI released a set of chilling photos and videos that showed a masked and armed man at Guthrie's door. Authorities believe that this is the man who kidnapped Guthrie, although his identity is not known. I do want you guys to know FBI is working on that as we speak. Now, a second video emerged showing a masked man allegedly stealing plants not far from Guthrie's home. The Pima County Sheriff Clown, they don't say that, but I do, Chris Nanos, has now released a decision on the second video. The Pima County Sheriff's Department does not believe the alleged plant thief is related to the Nancy Guthrie case, a televised station reported. And I'm going to get into that in a minute. It turns out that authorities do not believe that plant thief is related to the abduction at all. although it's not clear how they have that decision, they want to make sure that we know that decision, probably so we're not going down rabbit holes chasing the wrong people. Now, on May 1st, the statement was revealed during a broadcast on the KVOA Tucson, and the anchor, the masked thief caught on camera stealing plants near Guthrie's home, is not related to the Guthrie disappearance. Plain and simple. The anchor revealed in the broadcast, which also contained an interview with the sheriff that aired, showing a person pulling the driveway. Now, this was I did not show you the episode. I just showed you the thief. All right. But I want to make sure that we play it correctly. So let me remove this and we'll hop into that just in case anyone was stuck on or thought, hey, there's a new lead in the case. Jay, did you see it? No, it's been debunked. So
Catalina Foothills home just blocks away from Nancy Guthrie's neighborhood, making the rounds online tonight. And it was taken just last night, showing a masked person in gloves walking up a private driveway in the middle of the night and taking a potted cacti. News for Tucson's Jacob Owens joins us from the Foothills with why this video, Jacob, is causing some concern tonight.
Monica, that's right. If this were any other situation, this video likely would not be getting this sort of attention, but it's not a different scenario. This was less than a mile from Nancy Guthrie's home here in the Foothills. It's a neighborhood that's been on edge for weeks. And
yeah, it is just the wildest thing, but I already know who. I mean, we're all in the same community. The person that had the color out there was Patriot Pride, and they were kicking ass, but it was an AI color. Right, you were watching Patriot Pride or somebody that used Patriot Pride's video, and they did the AI thing and made them in color, which is what we've done on these ones. You see the bottom, that's in color on the very bottom. It's the same thing that they did, and then this is in color, right? So Patriot Pride or MAB, if you're still here, let us know in chat. I'm pretty sure, I'm 99.9% sure, Lucky Lady, that's where you saw it, was Patriot Pride video. And it's genius, but it's AI. It's exactly what I'm showing you here. If I were to take myself off of the screen and pull this up, and you look at that very top row, that's what it is. It's AI, fill in the colors, fill in the blanks, count the blocks, see how high they are. It does help your brain to see things in color. All right, but it's AI. It's not like some mystery video that came out and only it's exclusive to one thing. No, it was created in AI, unless they tell me otherwise. All right, let's get back to this. Thank you so much, Lady for Justice, for the Guilty of Crime membership. When we get into our next segment, I will give 5 memberships if anyone wants to match me. Sorry, let me hit play.
Actually months. Tomorrow marks 90 days since Nancy Guthrie disappeared from her home here in the Foothills, and that's 3 months. So a video surfacing of a man in a mask on private property is raising some surprise with a neighbor I spoke with. This neighbor who posted, so take a look, the neighbor who posted the video from last night wants to remain anonymous, we should say, but says that the video shows a gray Ford F-150 pulling into their driveway just before 11. Moments later, a man wearing gloves, a face mask, and a baseball cap gets out of the truck, walks toward the front of the home, and begins loading several potted cacti into the bed of the pickup. The homeowner later posted the video to the Ring app, where it quickly started circulating through the Catalina Foothills. We reached out to the sheriff's department asking if they had seen the video, and they say they have not been advised of anything like this, but they do say they will keep me posted. And while there's no indication that the incident is connected to the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, one neighbor tells me the location of this, while there is an increased law enforcement presence in this area, makes this a shock.
It is someone walking on your property late at.
So here's the good news about this. The good news is that they're getting footage. All right. Law enforcement, FBI, whatever they're doing, they're getting more footage. All right. Jay showed your post, Sharon. We're sharing. I did show what. Yeah, but we're not really talking about that. That's not true on YouTube. I totally missed something. Anyway, let's continue. I saw the comment. I said, yeah, I read it and I don't know what we're talking about. Yeah, let's focus on this. I'm not covering that at all, but thank you for letting us know. I just am not gonna I'm not going to cover any creators. Now, if it becomes like a trial and a full out, yeah, I'll be happy to. But as of right now, we just want to bring Nancy Guthrie home and set the record straight. And why are they not searching? I have one map and then another one where they should be searching, and we're gonna talk about that now.
Night, uninvited, committing, it might be a small crime, but committing a crime, and it is disturbing. It drives the point home that we have to be watchful, be aware of our homes, but also of our neighbors.
Monica, again, this is a good reminder for people who live in this neighborhood to check their doorbell cameras.
And I'll leave it at that. If there's someone in the area you guys know, or you're in that area, please check your cameras. Go back as far as you can. I just pulled off the one thing I didn't want to. Hold on. I'm going to show you another map. And maybe somebody in chat, maybe you have a theory. Maybe you guys are out there and you're seeing more than I am. Like you're in the neighborhood and you could say, hey, Jay, this weekend when people were watching the home, this weird thing happened or whatever, right? Maybe there's something you guys know more that I don't, but I can't understand with that many law enforcement officers, FBI, possible search parties. Number one, why somebody would be stealing cactuses. All right. And number two, why haven't they been searching for Nancy? Why hasn't anyone, the children, the anyone? All right. I'm trying to get back to that map and I botched it bad. I accidentally, I lost it. I lost it. All right. We're going to continue. I completely just lost the video I was going to show you, but let's talk about this real quick. We'll start with this one instead, and then I'll get back to that. I X'd out of it. All right, so here's the first theory. This theory, there's a lot of them, but we're going to debunk this real quick. If any of you guys believed for any chance, any thought ever that Annie and Tommaso never got her home, yes, we also want to do that. Thievery from stem to stem. All right. People say that Annie and Tommaso, we still think that it could be in their inner circle. If it's not them direct, there's other people, that 92% window. Now, this video is great because it debunks those that say Nancy never made it home at all. That I don't believe at all whatsoever. Let's listen to this for a bit. And then I'm going to get back to that. There's a second map.
Let me just put it this way and very carefully. I will tread lightly, okay?
Yeah, tread lightly. Don't get
if
sued.
you choose to believe that Annie and Tommaso are the culprits, and that part is fine. That part is fine with me. But however, you're also choosing to believe that Pima County and the FBI don't already know how Nancy traveled that night because her cell phone pings alone would make it very easy. I'm telling you guys, it's very easy for them to track her movements before her abduction. And this is what I want to get at. If Nancy never went home that night, just imagine detectives hearing Tommaso's story about dropping her off at her garage, at her home, and then they go and look at the data, the pings of Nancy's phone, which tells them that her phone never left there.
Now, after this one, we're going to dig into all the little pieces that have been happening. And of course, everything is alleged. Like I said, this weekend, I was going channel to channel to see what was happening. The only thing that was happening was a cactus thief. All right. Yeah, Monk is great. And we only need to pick bits and pieces from this because I want you guys to start seeing a picture in your head. And that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing on Wednesday. They're going to come out with this documentary to kind of give a little bit more direction, I think, with the information that they have. Because right now, we can't even rule out that it was a Yeti, right? A wild Yeti came out and took her. Or the UFOs that people believe in came down and she just got wiped out. Or conspiracy theorists with the whole Epstein. Whatever, right? There's a lot of things, and you can't rule anything out until you have evidence, and you can't rule anything in without it. So right now we're waiting for the DNA, hair samples, and any of the evidence, digital evidence trail. We're waiting for it to come back. And guys, I think it's going to hit us hard like the David case did, where you guys are we're all getting frustrated, and then bam, you're just going to be like, this is who it was. It came back connected to this guy, and you'll see. This is not a case that's going to go unsolved.
House. I'm sure that someone would be behind bars by now already. And I know. This is some of you guys' beloved theory. So just be patient with me, and I will have more proof coming up that this did not happen. Okay. Now, I want to add that it would be of utmost interest to authorities to access Nancy's Uber app as well. Okay. I think we could all agree on that.
And guys, that's what I want more than anything. I would love to have the Uber map and the video from the Uber driver with the dash cam or what have. I mean, at this point, it could be aliens or a Yeti. It could be almost anything. Who doesn't do a great? Exactly. A lot of people are saying that she's right around that area, and they're doing searches, but her kids aren't. And when I say her kids, I mean Annie and Tommaso. I'm looking at Dad's Gone Live, and he's out there finding shoe covers and slippers and pieces of carpet ripped off, but no Nancy and no search team other than what they're calling a YouTube nuisance, right? People are getting mad about the YouTubers being out there. They're calling it harassment.
To see if she called for that ride. And this was confirmed by Pima County. They went and talked to the Uber driver themselves, and they cleared that Uber driver. And every time we talk about this Uber driver, I want to take a quick aside. And if someone somehow could get into contact with him, I just need you to ask 3 questions, okay? Where did you pick Nancy up from? Where did you drop her off? And what she was wearing. Now, what she was wearing actually is starting to sound very important to me. And I think...
Now, I want you guys to have hope in this, because I've been here. You're the same people that were just with me last week talking about David, and the week before frustrated because why in the hell would there ever be a body in somebody's car and you don't arrest them immediately? Now, guys, they knew from the get-go who was driving that car in the David case and that he was on tour. And guess what? They could have arrested him months earlier. But had he played the game he's playing now, where he's not waiving the right to a speedy trial, and let's say prosecution isn't ready, they'll lose it all. They only got one shot. There's no double jeopardy. So in my opinion, this is what's happening in this. They're working the theory. What about an addict? That's what I want to know. Oh, also, what addict, number 1, and number 2, if you would hit the like button, subscribe. I'm going to gift 5 memberships, so make sure that you drop a comment or something. It gives you a better chance to get in the algorithm, all right? Yeah, there's so many things I want to talk to you guys about today. I want to try to get back on the what's actually happening path.
We will talk about that in the future. Anyways, let's first establish, if you don't already know, that cell phone positioning can be determined with cell tower triangulation. I think we've all heard that before. So it will place Nancy's phone in the general vicinity of where it is. And here's the cool thing, okay? The more the towers, the more accurate the triangulation. And guess what? Pima County has a plethora, an abundance of cell towers because it's a large populated metropolitan area. So now, if you are still in the belief that Nancy never made it out of Annie's house that night, I just want you to think on these things. Nancy's always been known to wear her Apple Watch consistently. Also keep in mind that that watch never unpaired from her phone that night. Now, of course, some of you guys might be thinking, well, I could just take her cell phone, I could take her watch, keep those together, and take it to point B, leaving Nancy at point A. But you can't do that. And here is why. Because there is something that doesn't readily disconnect and is going everywhere. That cell phone is going. Nancy's pacemaker.
I know.
So unless you're going with complete mutilation and taking out her pacemaker, then
exactly. And I don't think that this is anywhere near the David and Celeste case. We would never have thought that until we saw or heard the probable cause and the documentation of the arrest. I mean, they detailed the crap out of it. And I think that's what they're doing here. They're not afraid that somebody in that inner circle is going to get it on a plane and go to a country where there's no extradition. That's what I'm understanding. Now, Lil Red, good to see you. If you would drop your link, I'd love to get you go. I have got no notifications from you at all, and I'd love to stop by your channel. So welcome, Lil Red. Good to see you. Yeah, it could have been Chupacabra for all we know. Yeah, who said Chupacabra? Yeah, Yeti, Chupacabra, whatever. Thank you. You got a membership. Yes. All right, let's continue. I absolutely believe that she made it home, but I think key evidence is going to be the digital trail that is left by the people that did this.
I think it would be safe to say that Nancy is with her pacemaker, or else that heart spike, from a struggle or stress would have indicated at Annie's house. And the 2 a.m. one, well, by that time, that would not be possible. So the thing here that we should understand is that wherever Nancy's cell phone is going this night, her watch and her pacemaker are going as well. Going back to Annie and Tommaso's house. Okay, this is that get together, right? That family get together that is now infamous in the sense that we don't actually know what.
And again, this is all in my opinion, right? Sasquatch, maybe Sasquatch took her, right? At this point, why not? Maybe it was the person in the background of that picture from Annie and Tommaso's wedding 14 years ago, right? At this point, we can say anything we want because we don't know. It could be Rumpelstiltskin, right? It could be Chucky. It could be string theory. I'm an old people. I'm not moving to Tucson. They still old people there. Apparently they do. Right, Synth? We haven't seen Little Red in a minute. Good to see you. Why didn't she take her medication that was due to be taken? Maybe it happened before and they were in there hours earlier than we thought. Again, I hope you guys realize by now that this was more than likely a staged scene.
Happened within those 4 hours. Now, I feel we can safely say that Nancy's phone is definitely at Annie and Tommaso's house starting at 5:32 p.m. It's there for 4 hours and then it starts moving back to Nancy's house. I'm confident that police knows exactly where this vicinity of her phone is pinging, and it would lead them back to Nancy's house. So she is being taken home. At this point, no devices are disconnected. So now you have Nancy's home devices, okay? That would be her garage. And it's a smart garage, I'm thinking, if it could timestamp when it opens and closes. Okay, so it's opening at 9:48 p.m.
Now, again, they do have the digital devices, and did they think they committed a perfect crime? Staging means, Darcy, I see your comment on staging. Staging means 110% staging is just like throwing the police off. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's, let's say, let me say Richard Ramirez. Richard Ramirez staged a lot of his crimes. When he staged his crime, he drew 666. So they thought it was a cult. You remember the cult? You remember the 80s? In the 80s, everything was cult members doing things. That's what staged means. It means that's not really what happened. So when Annie called Savannah and said, "Mom's missing," what do you mean mom's missing? Well, she's not the kind of missing that where she just walked off, because she can't go farther than the mailbox, Savannah, but the back doors were propped open. That's staging. They put the crime scene in a way that it would look like something else. When a husband kills their wife, like we're covering in the American Idol case, right? The Flynns, Caleb Flynn, he staged it. He called 911 after shooting his wife twice in the head, and it was staged. When they got there, she was already dead, and he had the kids sleeping. He did the stage, means it's not the way it would be had you just committed the crime and left. Now, if I had broken into someone's house to steal something or to get a ransom, I would want to steal something or to get a ransom. They've got nothing. So you're telling me they went in there, carried her out, propped open the doors, got nothing. She died, and still they're never getting anything. This is just to make Savannah mad? Just because my phone goes somewhere. Exactly. It doesn't mean that you're right. 110%. And I hope that law enforcement understands what the connection is, because here's the difference, Mr. David, between your phone going and pinging and her phone going and pinging. Her phone would ping to her heart, to her monitor. You don't have a monitor, I don't think. I don't have a monitor, I don't think. So it's not so easy to pair your phone with your heart, with your whatever she had. You can't just do that. And I don't think that they ripped her damn pacemaker out just to keep it with the phone. All right. Oh, look at Jumpa's in the house. Ladies. Hey, Jumpa, it's good to see you, my friend. It's been a while. All right, let's continue. There's a lot in this case, guys.
And then closing at 9:50 p.m. Well, Nancy's phone is pinging in the vicinity of her home. So if police were to look at it, hey, it's looking like it's checking out, right? So far, so good. And Nancy,
again, so far so good, but that doesn't mean a thing. We sat there for months as David traveled, D4VD traveled, and we knew Celeste was dead in his car, and we knew all the other stuff. Many people knew about the sexual relationship or the graping, and yet they didn't arrest David. Why? Because they didn't feel like he was a threat. They didn't feel like he was gonna do something crazy. They had an eye on him, guys. And I'm telling you right now, FBI has an eye on not only Annie and Tommaso, but every other person that they've detained and that they've taken cars and gotten evidence from. I'm telling you right freaking now, they're not just doing this to waste our time. All right. Tara, Angel, mom of two, welcome. Good to see you. All right.
and her phone are back at her residence. And that's pretty much the last thing we can confidently say, however. I need you guys to never forget that once upon a time, there was a Nest camera right here because of this little solar panel, which most likely powered it. Oh, yeah. We know this because we see the same solar panel here where the FBI removed another camera on that casita. This footage from this camera should show that whole driveway and the garage. This footage, I've said before, might prove to be more important than even the porch guy footage. If retrieved, it could confirm Tommaso's story of bringing Nancy home that night. And we'd all be rest assured if we're watching Nancy.
Now, I don't think that. I don't know if anyone's still in chat. And I'm not going to be like, you're wrong. But does anyone in chat have a good reason? Hey, what's up, Rocco? I meant to say hi to you earlier. Is anyone in chat thinking that she never made it home and something bad happened at their house that night? And another thing I wanted to tell you. People were talking about their son. Their son is 13 years old. I heard somebody call into the show and say they thought it was the son that's 18. Their son's 13. Unless I got something wrong, I'm never going to throw shade at a 13-year-old boy. And I don't even want to look his way. Thank you, String Theory. I do appreciate that. Thank you. That made my day, actually. Thank you.
Walk into her garage after Tommaso dropped her off. So I feel this footage is what Tommaso is praying for every night. Please recover the footage, please. That angle would also show the movements of whatever started occurring at 1:47 a.m., right? We should see a culprit entering Nancy's property. We might even be able to see the car. We might even notice that he does have an accomplice that many of us believe are there, me being one of them, okay, propping open that back gate. So somewhere lost.
And it wasn't the back gate, it was the back doors. Again, I absolutely believe she made it home 110%. I don't think I can't go that far into a conspiracy theory. That's just not who I am. All right. And the evidence doesn't lead me that way. But when the evidence keeps leading me back to a certain set of people and a certain group, and then you hear from ex-FBI and several law enforcement people statistically that 92% of people that are kidnapped, killed, or crimes committed on them know the people. No, it doesn't have to be their sister, their husband, their kid, their uncle, but it's somebody in that inner circle. Maybe it's their cashier. Maybe it's the guy at the, your favorite burrito spot. Choo. Thank you, Michael. Thank you so much. If you guys would, thank Michael. And if you want to match him, that'd be helpful, guys. Thank you. Risa, how you doing, my friend? Is everything okay? I saw Risa in here. Nancy got the pacemaker inserted. No, I don't know when. Maybe somebody in chat does.
In the cloud are some vital clues that need to be found. And just imagine the day that they release this footage. Anyway, so now Nancy's phone is inside the house at roughly 9:50 p.m. Here's something that I never heard mentioned. Tommaso's cell phone. It should have pinged every single tower, just like Nancy's. So I'm thinking that it did, just like he said, unless he told police that he forgot to bring it with him. And well, that's a boring ride home, without even a podcast to listen to. Now, also, there's another narrative that should be unspread, I guess you could say. That is that Nancy's phone and her
Well, this is what I'm telling you guys. You guys just, all you have to do is take a point of reference. Pick any case you want, okay? City Chick, pick any case that you want that we know the answer to, that's solved, okay? Find that case and go watch it and watch how everything parallels. We're not in some alternate universe where in the Nancy Guthrie universe, she disappears and her pacemaker's gone and it disconnects and everything lines up perfect and it was nobody that really took her, but yet, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is what you do. You follow the evidence, you follow the clues, follow the money, and that's where you get your motive from. Why don't they show footage? Well, because maybe they're using that as evidence. We don't even know what their evidence was. Would you guys have been pissed off? And there's 444 people. Let's say a prayer that Nancy Guthrie's body at this point is found. Right? They need to start searching, in my opinion. I almost made a comment about David. I'm getting my, yeah, I know. I'm talking about David too, because these investigations are very straightforward. They use the same methodology until they learn something else. Okay. So in the David case, wouldn't you guys be very pissed off if they would have told us 3 months ago all the information that's now released? Let's say they told us, oh, they knew it was David in the car. They had, CP on his phone, CSAM. Wouldn't you guys be very pissed off if they gave us all the information but didn't make an arrest? I'm sure you would. Lil Red, thank you. Thank you, Lil Red. We're killing it today with that. I went to my work and said, Baby Guilty's got to do some laps. Let's go. All right, let's continue. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you all.
Medication were found on the kitchen counter, that she had missed her 10 p.m. medication. All of these all fall into the realm of unverified. Police only stated that these certain items were found in the home, but they would never tell us where. And that's to protect the investigation, I read, in the sense that only the abductor would know this information. So they have to keep certain things hidden so that they could confirm who the killer is if they ever
remember that, guys.
Slip up.
Please.
So at this point, the police are looking at that ping data, and it's telling them that Nancy's phone is exactly where it should be. No disconnected devices, right? As of yet. So every other device that should be connected is also where it should be. This, I feel, is where most theories should start, because it is up to this point that things become a real puzzle. The first thing that happens is at 1:47 a.m. It's logged that the front doorbell camera is disconnected from the Wi-Fi. The first disconnection, this disconnection.
All right, so we're going to do this, and then we're going to hop into the map, and I want you guys to realize where we keep coming back to and who is the inner circle. Samantha, I don't know what your email address is, if it's coming from Samantha, but if you would, I did not get an email from Samantha Cortez. So if you want to go to guiltyofcrimeby@gmail.com and try messaging me, I didn't get one. Thank you, Joanne, so much. Or Joanne. I'm like, is it Joanne or Joanna? And then Risa coming through with the $10 super chat. Thank you, ladies. I appreciate that. All right, let's look at the cameras and what's happening. And I want you to understand that there is movement happening behind the scenes, but they're not trying to compromise that. And they're not going to tell us that they're watching these people that they once detained. They're not going to tell us that, because we would say, why aren't you arresting them?
Should also trigger a nest event where the phone creates an alert about that disconnection. And I'm positive about this. And you know what else I'm pretty positive about? That this solitary image of the perp, which I believe is the thumbnail for a prior nest event, should have been created for anyone logged into Nancy's Nest app. Yep. The best caretakers of Nancy should have this app. And if they did, this picture was on it. That is a creepy thought. Now, we could all assume that Nancy missed it and she just cleared her notifications, probably as a habit. But do we also assume that the family did the same? The idea of this lucky culprit has always been a fly in my soup, a poop in my pudding. I'm sorry about that one. That this guy is so lucky that this nightmarish nest event he triggered just went unnoticed. And the night he pulls off this caper, the back doors might have just been conveniently unlocked, but luck eventually runs out. And I think we all know this, okay? Just ask the people that frequent those local casinos. They're in Tucson. I think there's 4 of them if you count those hotel casinos. These things put a lot of people that live near them in unnecessary financial hardships. That is
So I mean, again, this video just came out yesterday, and we're going back to Tommaso and the gambling problem. Now, when I looked that up, there's an article that came out almost in the very beginning, and the article talked about Annie and Tommaso needing a loan from their mom to purchase the house. Okay, now I don't know if I didn't want to pull it up because I couldn't find the credibility of it. But if anyone knows what I'm talking about, just drop a 1 in chat if you know what I'm talking about. You feel like, yeah, I do. Low red. Absolutely. And thank you, Foxy. Foxy's here. She made it. Thank you so much for gifting the Guilty of Crime membership. If you received that, please thank her. All right. Yeah, you guys are catching on to what I'm saying. All right, let's continue. Thank you.
proven statistically. And I would not be surprised if this culprit was in that category. Nancy has at least 3 cameras around the property that were triggering events this night. And that night, a lot of events were happening. So where did these events go? These events were being sent to somebody's phone. And maybe the FBI are already looking at the missing footage from that missing Nest camera, okay? Maybe the footage is so damning that they just feel they need to keep it under wraps. You know, as long as you have your target within arm's reach, you just keep connecting the dots. You got to keep the FBI hotline open as well. You know, you just hang up on the people. And now moving on to roughly 2 a.m. That's when Nancy's pacemaker signals to her.
And see, this is what you can't fake. You can't fake the funk on something like this, right? I don't have a pacemaker. So little hint, if someone wants to pick me up and then never drop me off, but they want to just drop my phone off instead, no one's going to notice. You can just put my phone with yours and do whatever you want. But not when you have a pacemaker that's pinging to your phone. All right. Again, statistically,
phone that Nancy was in some sort of distress, right? A heart spike shows up in her pacemaker app 12 minutes later. Okay, at 2:12 a.m., another event from the Nest camera is created that someone is detected, which I'm also pretty sure is incomplete because it would also usually give you the location or the camera this event is being triggered by. So we're going with the assumption that this is when the porch guy decided, you know, to take out the front doorbell camera, which would only make sense since anything we've seen so far given to us by the FBI is from that front door camera. I'm also pretty convinced that if the police weren't able to see any of these events on Nancy's phone the following day when they had it and they clearly got into it, then the culprit had a clear understanding of how the Nest camera system works.
Now, again, I got to ask you guys, Monk is genius. I love his perspective. Absolutely love his perspective. He definitely opens your mind up, but without going too far, right? Without going too far. So, I mean, yeah, the gardener could have left it on. The pool guy could have left it on. I mean, that's what your name is, Crazy Jane. You said Jane. Tucson, perhaps through wealth. Savannah, where it's like 40 million, maybe 80 with her. Yeah, but why hasn't anyone tried to get the ransom?
And I would confidently theorize at this point that he made Nancy unlock her phone, where he would proceed to erase anything he felt damning. If only he considered his own soul, right? So the next event should be when Nancy is taken out of her house. And this would be 16 minutes later, as indicated by her pacemaker at 2:28 a.m., which means that she's at least 10 to 30 feet from her phone. That's usually the range, roughly.
And that if you notice, the timeline changes a bit as well. It's been changing a little bit here and a little bit there, and rightfully so. But guys, don't think that the FBI doesn't have more footage. If you think that they don't have more footage, or you think something else is going on behind the scenes and they're not doing anything, think again. It's happening, but they don't need to announce it to us. And they're not going
when
to.
Bluetooth devices disconnect. We recently discussed how a Wi-Fi jammer could answer many odd questions, such as the neighbor's cameras going down, because I really don't want to add convenient glitching out of neighbors' cameras in exactly the right time frame to the already luckiest bad guys on earth. So I know not many people are on board, you know, with the Wi-Fi jammer theory. Some people asked, well, wouldn't that jammer also jam the Bluetooth signals as well, right? Meaning to disconnect her pacemaker from her phone, okay, at 1:47 a.m. And I would say not necessarily. The Wi-Fi jammer, okay, disrupts 2.4 to 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi signals. And the commenters would say, look, a Bluetooth it transmit at 2.4 gigahertz. That's within the jammer's wheelhouse. But I have to say,
You know, that was a perfect point you just made, the old gray goat. Once the ransom was made public, it was too hot to attempt to collect. Now, let me say this again. Once the ransom went public, it was too hot to attempt to collect. Even Bitcoin can be traced. Do I have to spell this out for you? The people that made it public were the people that wanted the ransom. Nobody, and I mean nobody, no kidnapper that's expecting a payday is going to publicly put out that they want this in this wallet and this if you did, and they did that. So once again, once the ransom was made public, it was too hot to attempt to collect. Well, they're the ones that made it public. So why would they do that to themselves? We just went in a full circle. Thank you, the classic one. There you go. I do not think there was a Wi-Fi jammer here at all.
that the Bluetooth does it in a different way. Something that's called frequency hopping spread spectrum. Something that was named by a complete app. And you pair that with the factor that pacemakers are designed to be intermittent. And it's designed this way to save battery. The Wi-Fi jammer would actually have a hard time disrupting that connection. Okay, it's just something I read. Nancy's pacemaker disconnects from her phone for the last time, and the world would wake up on February 1st to find her missing. Her Apple Watch and her iPhone were found inside the house, right? Her Apple Watch was never reported to have disconnected. So we can say that it was always near that.
Always near that. And I'm going to we're going to stop on this one. What about the other people that have been detained thus far and evidence collected and emergency search warrants? Where did that come from, guys? Where did that come from? Did Sheriff Nanos or the FBI just pull a hat and say, "Oh, this guy looks Mexican enough. Oh, look at those lips. Oh, he's got a thin lip and a little bit of he's brown enough. Go arrest him. Oh, yeah, that guy's brown enough too, and he's got that kind of card. Let's arrest him." All right. No, that didn't happen. All right. It didn't happen. And the people that have been detained thus far, and the people that have been detained with an emergency search warrant, there's a reason for it. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's continue. Now, again, we're going to get into the map that that Annie put out, but yet never searched it and never really made it public. Now, this is not that. This is another one. SF Investigates said, "I did a screen recording to show some of the capabilities of search and rescue drones and how they could be used in the Nancy Guthrie case. I don't understand why there are not ongoing efforts to search the desert areas in and around Tucson and beyond for Nancy Guthrie." All right. I really, and if you guys have an answer for that, let me know.
I wanted to do this quick video to kind of show some of the search capabilities with search and rescue drones that I think could be helpful in the Nancy Guthrie case. And I'm not really sure why
they're not
using them along with cadaver dogs. The sheriff seems opposed to these search efforts for whatever reason, but I thought it might be helpful for people to understand kind of how they can be used. Last week, we did 2 drone searches assisting federal authorities.
Okay, right here.
And in between those days, I had a couple down days, so I searched a desert area where Daniel Robinson is missing in Arizona. And I'm using this as an example because it's very similar terrain to where Nancy Guthrie is missing, and there's a high likelihood that she could have been, unfortunately, dumped out in open desert.
Yep.
So we can do with these specialized drones, and these are enterprise.
Now, a lot of people think that that's what happened. After she passed away, they dumped her somewhere in the terrain that's not too far, right? They didn't keep her in a freezer. They didn't do what David did. And again, we're going to do a David coverage tomorrow because David kept Celeste's body. What did he do with Celeste's body when he kept it? We're going to talk about that. Spirit Lift Us. Great name. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, so look at the map here. Look at the terrain. Why is nobody out there searching? except for Dad's Gone Live. Why is Dad's Gone Live able to find this and law enforcement didn't? Today is actually May the 4th be with you, right? May 4th. And in April, it wasn't the family, it wasn't FBI, it wasn't Sheriff Pima, it was Dad's Gone Live that found this evidence out there. Why? Why wasn't this already collected by law enforcement, FBI, what have you? It looks like slipper shoes and some of them are stocking booties, right? Some of this may be something that homeless people dumped. I don't know the area, but you got a lot of stuff that could be tested right here, not far. Those are like the booty covers for the shoes, which we did not see anybody wearing on the camera, but we see it here. Did they use that? Where did it come from? What happened to that evidence? Right? And on and on and on. And this one in April 27th, Nancy has 373 Facebook friends, and only 3 of them, possibly 4, even shared a post about her missing. Right? It's interesting. It's just interesting how this whole case is working and what they're not telling us. What's not happening. That's the missing key, is what's not happening. And there's this guy again that we can just, we could probably watch this again and again and again. Right? And again, to me, it looks like he's knocking, and I just can't understand why we are where we are with this now map. Okay, so now we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about the map that Annie Guthrie gave to the police. Krista saw it. Krista, you saw it, right? Yeah, there's absolutely more footage of David, but we'd have been pissed off had they showed us the footage of D4VD and all the evidence before arresting him. All right, don't forget Jim with the pants and the knee brace, a few others behind Tommaso and Annie's house. Yeah, there's so many things that we could probably, just connect the dots. There's a huge, that's what I'm saying. Why not bring the Cajun Navy in? You tell me. That's what I'm saying, but why is it this makes no sense? And then Annie making a map of where the killers took their mom. I want to know the context behind that. I want to know why her and Tommaso and the family weren't searching that. Did they? Did we miss something? Why didn't she share that with other people? Couldn't sleep. KHC Crime Lab. I hope you get some rest tonight, Kathy. I watched your video. I liked it. I commented on it and all that. So keep going, girl. You're getting it. All right, let's continue. I don't understand why this map was not really publicly given out. Krista saw it. I never saw it. Why weren't we looking at this all along? And is it in the wrong direction? Did they purposely point us in the wrong direction? Let's come here. We're going to go straight to the map.
It's coming.
All right. Well, let's do it. Yeah,
there are still thousands of hours of video collected
from
both public and private sources. That review is ongoing and a very tedious effort. But what they're focusing on is trying to find a vehicle in the right space and right time that can lead to be further investigated.
Now, we know, moving beyond the Uber driver that picked up Nancy Guthrie that night, a lot has been made to you, Joe Scott Morgan, about Annie Guthrie and her husband's vehicle. We know that it was a blue Honda CRV, and Hondas, CRV specifically, do have nav system depending on the
and Honda CRVs can look similar to what they thought was a Kia. Now, Vicky, yes, here's the map. We're getting into that right now. Today, the name of the episode was Nancy Guthrie Case Twist. Map of a Killer, Theories Debunked, and Sheriff Rejects the Plant Thief. All right, so hopefully I covered that. Twist in the case, map of the killer. Annie made that map and gave it to law enforcement, whatever law enforcement, police, FBI, and she said, this is the map the killer probably took. All right. Again, I wish I had more context about it, but that's what we're going to get into now. They talked about it before, Savannah, but why wouldn't this have been made public everywhere? Why wouldn't they be going up and down that? It just, there's so many things that don't make sense about it. right? So yes, that's Annie Guthrie gave to police. I didn't know about it. We haven't heard a thing. Now that could be anybody, right? But not. It could be anybody, but it could not be anybody. All right, now I'm going back to it. 1 second. Let me pull this back up. 1 second, y'all. All right. Real quick, let me back it up here. Just a second.
But this is a targeted attack. They knew her. They knew who she was. They knew her comings and goings.
You're
And
good.
here's
I
the
got
thing.
it.
They knew that she's vulnerable. And so they're going to spring whenever they see that her guard is down. We're talking about kind of late at night. She's barely ambulatory. She's worn out. She's been with her family at this point in time. They know she's going to turn in for bed, Nancy. It's been a long day, right? And so they're observing, they're waiting, they're watching. Now, what are they waiting for exactly? Because, that's a bigger question, thinking about, why out of all the people in the world would they want to go after this poor woman? Well, I mean, I have my own thoughts about that relative to they know who her daughter is. I think everybody's going to know that's involved in this. And so they've targeted her, right? And so they're going to wait until they can spring their trap. And the question is, where did they put their vehicle to transport her off? And back to what Brian.
And do you really think that law enforcement doesn't know by now that they don't have a clear description of somebody, something, a vehicle? I mean, they're not going to release it to us because, right, they're not going to mess up the case. Can you imagine right now if it came out, breaking news, law enforcement thinks that Annie and Tommaso are at the center of this? Everybody would scatter. Breaking news, we're going to tell you that, but we can't arrest them yet because DNA hasn't coming back. Genetic genealogy hasn't come through. The DNA is degraded. What have you? Can you imagine? Yeah. Could you imagine that? I can't. I don't know what we would do if we knew that.
Had said this idea of going through all of this videography is going to be key to try to determine where another vehicle may have come and introduced themselves or itself into this equation, this visual equation that we're trying to figure out at this point in time. That's going to be critical. And look, I don't know who's looking at the video. I'm assuming it's probably the feds. I hope it's the feds, and that they're going to try to break this down as into the base elements, because nothing, and I mean nothing, Nancy, at this point in time is off the table. Everybody has to be considered. And
exactly. And everybody knows that you cannot rule anybody out. Terrible stream. Good night. Well, thank you, Rick Huffman. Good night. What a fun guy, huh? All right, let's get to the map. I love people sometimes.
As we go to air, we learn that Annie Guthrie herself provided the route she believes the killer used that night. Let's take a look at it. Straight out to Dave Matt, Crime Stories investigative reporter. What is this? Where did it come from?
This actually, Annie Guthrie was in a group chat online with neighbors and sent this map to them at the beginning of the investigation, Nancy. This was put out there early, hoping that somebody might have seen something or had video along. You see the blue map line there, that somebody along that way could look through their video. I mean, this is really an incredible source of information from Annie Guthrie coming up with what she thought was the plan.
That is not only an incredible map that I think all of us should have known about, but law enforcement will do this to get information out of people that they feel are suspect. They'll say to, let's say, Little Red say, you ain't gonna get me, just see you later, right? I'm going to bed. Good night. Your stream sucks. Hey, you gotta break up the monotony with and laugh, right? Okay, so this should have came out. We should have all known about this 3 months ago. Number one. Number two, law enforcement does things like this when they suspect somebody and they're making a supposition. So, Lil Red, I know you dropped your mom off that night, or your husband did, but if you were the person that did that, which route would you go? Can you help us? Or if somebody killed your whatever, they make supposition. Oh, well, we found this person unalived in a suitcase. If you were the person that did it, how would you have thought to do it? Oh, well, I would think to, right? I would think to do this or this or that. And they're speaking for themselves to the investigator. So how did this map even come to be? Did they ask Annie, can you tell me something? Or did she volunteer that? And why didn't we know about it? That's what I'm saying. How did Annie Annie did that. Annie gave the map to police. But when, where, what, why, how, what?
Or the route rather taken by on the way home. So they're looking for anyone along this pathway, that might have seen something. It's curious when you really get into this that she's marked different addresses along the way. It's just an incredible piece of information that Annie Guthrie offered to this group with neighbors talking about the area.
No.
If this route is real, if this is the route the killer took, straight out to you, Cheryl McCollum, joining us, crime scene investigator of many years, author of a brand new book, and star of Zone 7. Okay, what do we do with it? This is the route.
But I just want you guys to understand what happens in law enforcement. And Lil Red knows you wouldn't answer. You wouldn't answer if you were in that predicament. But a huge portion of law enforcement getting information from suspects is coming from their own selves. Them sitting down in that interrogation room. I know your mom's missing, and I know it's hard on you, man. But you really, if you could think of anything or anybody, oh well, it. That's what I'm saying. This just didn't come out of nowhere where all of a sudden Annie just gave him a map and was like, hey, the killer went here. How does she know that? How did we get that? Who's trolling here? Well, let's knock the trolls out, huh? I'll be sending 15 pounds. Can you send it? Yes, I can. Thank you. Absolutely. You want some memberships? Thank you. Kathy's gifting y'all some memberships, guys. Let's go. Thank you. All right, let's continue. Let's go back to that. And then why? How did that even get to that point? And how does she know the killer's route?
That Annie Guthrie is allegedly convinced the killer used. It's full of evidence.
Nancy, when you're looking at this map and you see all the places, the nail salon, I mean, you've got tons of businesses, you've got residential areas. I would not, number one, I would not limit my investigation to this map, but I would certainly go through it based on what her daughter believes could be a route. We are over 80 days into this thing, and we don't have a legitimate video of a vehicle.
See?
You've got to ask yourself why. How is that possible with all of these intersections that we know have cameras?
And why didn't we even have this? Krista saw it. Why did we never look at it? Why aren't they driving down that path? Do they have evidence we don't know about? If that is the path, they're going to be able to take a time frame from this time frame to this time frame and find it, right? There's got to be cameras at the lights, at the whatever. There's a school right there down that route. You pass by a school. All right, let's continue. There's a lot in this.
The gas stations, the churches, the businesses. How do we not have a vehicle? Well, Nancy, as you know, I was out there, and here's what I can tell you. At any given point, almost, you could take a hard right or a hard left and cut through little parts of the desert. It's vast. It's open. You don't have to go through that intersection if you don't want to. You can go right through parts of the land and avoid some of these places. So again, we know at 127, he's at the front door. We know by 220.
And maybe that's the case, Silver Gypsy. Maybe that's the case. But what I'm asking is, why was this not more publicized? And why are they not out there searching this terrain for their mom? right? We did that for Jack and Lily. Jack and Lily's coming up on a year. We've done that for Sebastian. We do. I mean, that happens all the time. That's the first thing that happens when someone goes missing and you haven't found them for days and weeks. You do a ground search. Why haven't they done that? That's what I'm asking. That's my question. Yes, I'm going to give some memberships, my friend. Thank you, Kathy. Please thank her. Have you received a membership? I'm going to gift memberships right now.
29, the app has disconnected to her watch. We have a timetable. There's no way at this point, after 80 days, they can't pinpoint 1 mile away in that circumference and not catch him somehow. And I think with all the planning, he avoided those cameras.
You know, he avoided those cameras, Cheryl. I hear what you're saying, but it's also a non sequitur. It doesn't make sense. If he did all that camera avoidance, then how come he didn't know the camera on her front porch worked?
I don't think he cared because, again, he's not in a hurry. He knows he's completely covered. He knows there's no connection to her. They don't know who he is. She doesn't know who he is. Again, after 80 days, we don't know who he is. So he didn't have a jammer. Otherwise, he wouldn't be acting like he did. I don't believe he had an accomplice. If he did, why is he the only one caught on video over multiple days and multiple times? Why is he the only one we see dressed the same? And the only thing that changes on the 30th, he now has a weapon and a backpack.
I really do think that we're just waiting for the DNA to come back to fill in some of the puzzle. Thank you, Kathy. Kathy just gifted 5 Guilty of Crime memberships. If you received a membership, please thank her. They didn't have. I know. Why? Does anybody that's been out there know why? Tucson girl, good to see you. Do you know why they didn't do a search? Why is it that YouTubers are doing searches? There's a guy on a motorcycle. There's all these people are out there doing that, but law enforcement and the family is not doing a ground search. We don't know who we don't know who they have on video. And that's what I'm saying also. I'm saying that we literally, we don't know. We don't have all the puzzle pieces, but we have a part of the puzzle. And I'm wondering why they're not using that. Why didn't they use that map to search? That's what I'm wondering. I never even heard about it. Why did it take to day 93 to get to this point? That's all. All right, let's continue. And again, just the eerie things that I keep seeing that circle back to Annie and Tommaso. It's like
he came mission ready on that day. He was ready that day. The days before, casing the joint, laying out his plan.
Let's look in depth at the route Annie Guthrie identified as the killer's route. Let's start with Lulu Walker Elementary School. First out to you, Brian Fitzgibbons. Take a look at that. You know they've got to have cameras. On the map is to the far left. See that? It's on the frontage. In other words, it faces the street. They have got to have cameras all over. What do you make of it?
Yeah, and this map was provided by Annie Guthrie out to the public in an effort to generate video tips, right? To identify a route and say, hey, any private residences and individuals that may have captured video.
Yeah, go send prayers to you. Absolutely. Kevin, that's your husband, is in the hospital. Kevin's mom's in the hospital. No, go ahead. Let's just say prayers. Go do what you need to. All right. You're good. Prayers for you and your family and Kevin's mom.
Send this in right away. Now, to your point about the elementary school, we've got public locations like a school, library, and then you have private businesses along that route, pharmacies, gas stations, things like that, that undoubtedly captured video at that time. And I think we've talked a lot about a lot of the missteps here. Getting this route information out was not one of them. This would help generate those leads and help people to save that video before it expired.
Joe Scott, there is a plethora of information. Look at the elementary school. What do you see?
Well, I can see 4 points, or at least probably multiple, more than 4 points of where cameras could be positioned. And it's going to have a field of visual perspective. Here's the thing. When you take a look at this and these cameras, if they're working, and we've run into that before, have we not?
Right.
On each corner of the building, these cameras, their field of view will be intersecting. Okay, so if you think about the vision that a camera has, as it goes out, it kind of expands, right? So each one of these points will intersect with the other. The cool thing about this, let's just say from the perspective of the school, that these things are going to be overlapping. All right. They're going to overlap, and you can catch, if you can't catch it from one, you can catch it from the other. I'm talking about the color description of the vehicle. And in addition to that, you might be able to get a hit on a license plate relative to all of this. So these fields of view, if you will, are intersecting or overlapping of one another. And this is on, obviously, a main thoroughfare here.
I just really want to know how this map came to be and if they're being pointed in the wrong direction on purpose. Again, maybe it is just simply Annie's trying to do anything to find her mom. But I haven't seen her do anything to find her mom at all. So it's weird. Does Annie's son go to the school? I have no idea. And I'm not even trying to look into their children, because people are starting to say that maybe their kid did it. And I don't want some underage kid to be, I'm going to say I don't know. And I don't know about the kids, right? I kind of want to keep them out of that.
We're talking about a school, right? So parents are coming and going, throughout the day. They're going to have a circle, that you have to pass through, drop these kids off. And nowadays, with the way schools are, security is at the top of their list. So hopefully these cameras are all functioning. Hopefully they're sensitive enough to pick up on any critical data.
Have you guys seen this? So Flojo or Mab, have you already seen the map and talked about this? I'm just curious. All right. I mean, that's a big deal. That would have been a big deal in the case to be able to search those routes. Now, I'm sure law enforcement's doing their thing. I'm almost 99.9% positive they have evidence that we just don't know about yet. There's no reason why they wouldn't. I heard that it took Sheriff Nanos, he actually made the decision to not give the FBI the hair that he had, the original hair sample. That's what somebody else in his department said, that he literally was like, should I give this to the FBI or should we do it ourselves? And his ego trumped everything, and they took that hair and did it themselves. And yet we still don't have anything. All right. You haven't seen that? All right, let's continue. Let's hear what this is about.
I got something for you, everybody. Green Toes North Nail Salon and Massage. Take a look to the right of the building, right in front. Surveillance camera, right in front, Cheryl McCollum.
That's the first thing that I saw, Nancy, when you sent the picture. Not only is it right in the front, it would capture the parking lot and the roadway. So again, my question becomes, why don't we have the car? If this is the route that he took, we would know the time that the app separated from the pacemaker, that the approximate time that he would be passing through there. Again, you're talking about 2 a.m, 2:30, 3 a.m. There's not going to be that many vehicles. I don't understand how we don't already have it. My other question becomes, why does Annie Guthrie believe this is the route, and where does she think they were going? Those are key questions for me.
Again, this just came out yesterday in the Nancy episode. And of course, I don't typically cover cases on weekends. So I said, you know what? We need to look at this. Everybody's all up in arms about the plant thief. And then there's a ton of theories running wild. I mean, we're doing that too, but we're trying to stay on track. And then this comes out. All right. I have seen this video, though. I like the Southern guest. This just came out yesterday, and I was like, wait, what? She gave a map to and from. How'd she get that? How did they get to that? Did she offer that? Or did they sit down with her and say, wait, camera may not have been on? Yeah, see, that's the thing. Does she know? Did she point him in the wrong direction on purpose? We just simply don't know. Yeah, that's a nothing burger. He was ruled out.
Me that I don't know the answer to yet. But again, you pass more cameras than you know every day. ATMs have cameras. Buses have cameras. I mean, you're on camera more than you think you are. But after 80-something days, we don't have this guy.
Summertime expenses stacking up fast.
Let's get back to the map.
What was left of her remains were found. Why is it law enforcement so often discounts civilian tips like what Annie has provided?
Yeah, there's an inherent bias with a number of investigators based on their experience. They look at somebody from the public, from a family member, and they see a lot of emotion there, and they immediately discount what's being said. Now, I'll call back right to the beginning of this investigation. Annie Guthrie was in the house telling investigators there is no chance that that Mrs. Guthrie wandered off, that she's unable to walk more than 50 yards on her own power. And they were still, in the immediate sense, treating it as an elderly person wandering off. So, hey, this comes to missed opportunities, right?
I mean, I didn't even realize that they had thought that for the first 24 to 48 hours or put it out in that way. Tucson says if you're trying to avoid cop attention at the time of the morning, you take regular routes to blend in. Those roads are very dark, so headlights would catch the attention of cop. But I wonder why she pointed them specifically that route. Like, what is it about there? I wish I was in the area and I could drive it, because I would. Oh yeah, she was using her special powers. I get it. I know, that's what I'm saying. Every time I cover this episode, it just keeps coming back. And no, we don't. Silvergate, nobody's saying Annie and her friends haven't been out there looking, but we haven't seen them. We haven't heard them. We haven't seen a plea. I never saw this map until just now. And so we're questioning it. I'd rather question the map that is solidly evidence, something that she gave to law enforcement, than just some random lights that we see out in the dark that may look like some certain vehicle that it's not. Right? Try to follow the leads. Yeah, so it was a tricky route. So why did she point him in that direction? That's what I'm trying to understand. We're going to figure that out, hopefully.
No investigator, no investigative agency is going to be perfect. However, there have been some big missteps here with not listening to the family and, might I say, some of these tips from the public.
Cheryl McCollum, you are a crime scene investigator. In my cases that I prosecuted, those are the first people I listen to. It's the family and what input they have in the case. Here, for whatever reason, you're wondering why. You know what? At some point, Cheryl, why ask why? Just accept that Annie Guthrie believes this is the route the killer took and run with it. Why is it law enforcement is so resistant to civilian or family input?
Is it law enforcement or is it Sheriff Nanos? That's what I want to know. Someone of the perp, others too, definitely. You can Google roller coaster road. It's a crazy hill and curving, but fun. But why would that be the route? That is just wild. Yeah, go put up your green screen. Yay. It looks like you already had one. You did a pretty good job before. Are those the entrances to the desert? I don't know that area, so that's what I'm trying to figure out, where that came from and how it came about. All right, Nanos.
I think in this case, you have to listen to her. Nothing else has panned out. And to me, you're at that scene, Nancy. If this was you and I standing inside that house, we don't even have to listen to Annie. You're looking over there. Her eyeglasses are there. Her cell phone is there. Her hearing aids are there. Her walker is there. Her shoes are there. This woman didn't leave on her own. It's clear she did not. So if you've got her child telling you, I think this is the route, you need to check it out anyway. From her home, that driveway, you can only go left or right. Once you get to a major intersection to the left and one to the right, at that point, if you do not have that killer's car on video, then pay attention to what her daughter's telling you. You got to check it out.
And I hope that they did. I hope that they did. I hope that this is just something that was missed and they've looked and they've got the cameras and we're going to see. I really don't want it to be her children directly. I do believe it's somebody in the circle, but the circle's, it's small, but it's been a long time. Nancy's been there since 1975. It could be the guy at the grocery store. You know what I mean? Anything. Map was misleading. A lot of people are saying that, and that's why they didn't put it out, because of the way that it was created, how it got created, and what was behind it. Was it just her wanting to help, or did they say, what would you do? Which route would you take if you were the...
You have to check out all routes. You have to check out all cameras. Even if we thought that the kidnapper went to the right, I'm going to go to the houses to the left, because again, Nancy, he cased the joint. He looked at all the homes. He looked at where he could park and hide, and then go to her house and be unseen the entire time. No neighbor, again, has produced the vehicle. We have him. He's been caught on camera more than once at the front door, but not from a neighbor.
Take a look now at Circa 79 Salon. It has just been renovated. I'm going to show you now the before shot. Before it was renovated, it was called Chantilly tea room, and it was transitioned into circa 79. To Dave Mack, Crime Stories investigative report.
All right, again, so now we're back into this small town where they are and looking at the things that we should be looking at. This is what we should have been looking at from day one. DNA, probably over the doorbell. Too bad it was never collected for evidence, right? They listen, guys, they only have the same evidence that they've had, that they've claimed to have since day one. They literally have mixed DNA, including a hair sample that was found inside the home that wasn't connected to the family. All right. DNA is described as the bulk of their case right now, as well as digital evidence and videos. That's all. And multiple emails where they were demanding Bitcoin, which could be completely off base. It could have been 3 different people doing that. Who knows, right? We know one of them was in the inner circle earlier of Tommaso and the band, and he sent that. He's going to be prosecuted for that. Is that a nothing burger, or is he connected to them? I mean, what? I don't even know what they're doing with that. It's like, hey, we arrested all these people. We detained all these people. We got all these emergency search warrants, and stop. Okay.
Order. As we're taking a look at the circa 79 salon, formerly Chantilly Tea Room, the fact that it was renovated is important. I'm going to get to that. You heard Cheryl McCollum say, why did Annie think this is the route? You know what? Why ask why? Again, she thinks it's the route based on what she knows. So I'm running with it. And I'm not just looking for the perp. I'm looking for his vehicle, and not just the day of the kidnapping, other days like January 11. So why do we believe, if we know, why did Annie choose this route as the likely route the killer took?
Nancy, we don't know specifically why, but this was Annie Guthrie in the first days of the investigation, and she's trying to help. Her mom is missing. You know, she's in a panic mode of helping. She's not getting any feedback, leading her to believe that she's getting the results she's after, which is, where's my mom? So she actually volunteers. Here's where, because, you know, she lives in the area. Annie Guthrie and Tommaso don't live that far from Nancy Guthrie's home. And so she knows all of the routes. She knows the roads that people go and drive on. And that's why she put it out there. And I agree with you. More than just a Joe Blow citizen, you know, calling this in. This is the daughter of the victim, and she's putting this out there as a possibility. Now, this is a very specific getaway route, and it's easy to follow right there on the map. So when you get down to the nitty gritty, Nancy, this was Annie trying to help.
Okay, bottom line, there's a lot of words to say, we don't know, but thank you anyway. Let's take a look at Chantilly Tea Room. That is what Circa 79 was before it was remodeled. It's a big structure over 3,000 feet. But what's interesting to me, it was remodeled by retail specialists with Cushman Wakefield. Why do I care?
Yeah,
because if it was remodeled recently, Cheryl McCollum, that tells me they've got surveillance cameras.
Possibly.
Oh, yeah, I'm like, why do we care? The reason I do care about that place is because that's where they would go when Savannah would come into town. Mine is the same way, except there's a high setting, low setting. I don't know what y'all talking about, your green screens and getting set up. Surprised Nana, he doesn't do any live updates because they're trying to get him out, get away to where, right? So, oh my goodness, Mo Franjo, so much clickbait, and that's why I'm trying to keep it at least on track. If I could only stream about Nancy once a week or twice a week, at least I can keep it on track on my channel, documented, because I mean, it has gotten way out of control. All right, just a ton of clickbait and AI, and people don't even know it. I know, me too, my friend, me too.
What concerns me with any remodel is the cameras are going to be, taken apart. They're going to be rewired. So for a period of time, they won't have any. And it's probably the last thing they're going to put back together. So again, I'm not asking why for, the reason that you're thinking. I'm asking why for the investigation. If this pans out and we know the direction they're going, then we know where they're probably taking her. Now we know where better to search. Again, Nancy, I have not seen a legitimate search.
There's gotta be something, and she's right. She has not seen a legitimate search. And we would know because we've got Dolly that was out there. We got all these people. Go hit your live button, and there's the Juice out there and all kinds of people out there just watching that house or in the desert searching or what have you. Yeah, a lot of AI channels are being shut down, thankfully. But yeah, Silver, I'm glad that you said this because about, I think, an episode or two ago, we talked about this hair sample, and they are getting 10 times better with hair samples and not needing it to be closer to the root. So that's what we can look forward to as DNA, as the DNA gets better and better, the technology. 2 episodes ago, a lady said we're doing it without the root. So I'm hoping that when we get the results back or we hear something, it's going to be connected to somebody that they've already had their eyes on. Yeah, definitely. What about taking the route on Google Maps on the night of? Yeah, I mean, why? I don't know.
Meaning, let's get some volunteers out there. Let's go shoulder to shoulder. Let's pan out. Let's get some horses and ATVs. We haven't seen it. We haven't seen a call for a search from Savannah Guthrie. She could have gotten 5,000 volunteers out there. It hasn't happened. So either law enforcement doesn't think this has anything to do with an escape route, or they're ignoring vital evidence. But I'll tell you, I wish we had the 911 call. I wish we had the first thing they said. I think that would help us determine, who did they suspect first? What did they say first? I think that would help us.
Joe Scott Morgan, jump in.
Yeah. So if we look at these 2 points, Green Toes and the Circa 79 Salon, as it's entitled on the map, guess what you have to do there, Nancy? You have to slow down because this intersects with a major thoroughfare. The critical point is that if there is a stoplight, if there is at those 2 points alone, a stoplight, a stop sign, the individual driving this route, driving that vehicle will have at least had to do a pause. Some people refer to it as a California roll, right? Where you come in, you don't completely stop, and then you go ahead and go. It's not like this vehicle at those 2 spots would blast past it, past these.
Now, remember when Maddie was being looked for, Maddie Soto, and we had that big stretch that went all the way from St. Cloud or from where they were to St. Cloud, and they kept saying 152 or 192, one of those. Anyway, that was where they found all of the footage was every freaking stoplight. They found they saw Stefan, and then they saw on the camera Maddie. Essentially, video solved that, right? Immediately, Maddie was no longer alive, and law enforcement saw the video and picked up on that. All right, so that's what I'm saying. Search by whom, other than the people that are searching? EquiSearch has asked you, but why aren't they not? 20 minutes from, yeah, I know there's a ton of people doing like psychic readings and saying that all kinds of stuff, but I want them to bring her home, and I want them to do a physical search. I can't understand why they're not. And what is this map of? Why this route?
Locations. We go back to Coburger. We think about that 20-mile circle or whatever it was where they're catching these glimpses. That ain't happening here. That individual would have to slow that vehicle down to the point where you can actually capture something. And if there are any more of these kind of intersections along the way, those are going to be critical points, all right, of where the individual would have had to slow down enough where you can actually get a capture off of these cameras. I think that those are going to be very important points. I'm glad that you pointed these out because, look, I mean, you got nothing else to go on. If you look at the elementary school, yeah, it makes kind of a dogleg turn there, but did that stop there, or they just kind of roll past it? These other places, you've got intersections with a major thoroughfare. They're going to have to slow at least. They're just thinking about their own preservation. They don't want to get T-boned as they're pulling out there. It's just human nature. They're going to have to slow down. That could be a critical point or critical points right there.
And amazingly tonight, Dave Mack has done his own investigation into the route.
Yeah, I'm trying to, this is what we're doing right now. So we're talking about the route, and did I sit there and map it out? No. I'm not your map time person. Now you guys love map time with Grizzly, but this is not that. I can't even find I'm assuming the start point is from the house and the end point is what? At the Bashaw's is where it stopped. Why did it stop there? So if we go from Nancy Guthrie's house to the Bashaw's, why that route? Yeah, I could map it out, but that's what I want to see what they're talking about. I want to see what they're saying about this. Is there evidence? How do we even know about this? How did it come? What do they think? What? I can't understand. I don't understand what's going on here. All right, let me what did I do? Did I put the map up and then yeah, let's go back to this.
That Annie Guthrie provided and learned something very, very probative. What about it, Dave?
Nancy, remember we had the car that was seen on a Ring camera that was about 2.5 miles from Nancy Guthrie's home, and it was on a back road away from the scene. It was dismissed by the police or the sheriff's department. When I laid that map over, the route on that road does not show up on Annie Guthrie's route for getting away from the scene. But you lay it over and it's right in there. It fits as a possible route that could have been used as the escape route. It's right in the same general area.
And that may answer Cheryl's question as to why Annie came up with this route. That video from our friends at Fox News. You're on cross-examination. Who is our next?
People, at least two. There is someone behind.
Hold on, I absolutely believe that as well.
Our cat, Cinnamon.
Okay, hold on.
And tonight, another theory emerges by a renowned psychologist. Do you buy it? Listen.
Of intelligence involved here, which has pointed to me for a very long while now, to a group of people, at least two. There is someone behind the curtain who's more intelligent, more scheming, and then the individual who actually carries it out. Because one of the prime reasons for eliminating a person other than financial is that they know something.
That is our friend, Dr. Gary Bricado. He's an esteemed psychologist, and that is him from a hit on TMZ, our friends Harvey Levin. As much as I think of Bricado, I'm not buying that she was kidnapped or killed somewhere else, and the killer went back to the scene to put her blood on the porch and open and shut the doors. I mean, we have her heart monitor, her pacemaker, placing her there that night. So, Joe Scott Morgan, what do you make of this theory that there's some motive we don't understand? Nobody understands that she was taken and killed elsewhere, and the perp goes back to the scene to stage, including putting her blood on the front porch?
So the killer, just so that I understand this, actually.
Now, I don't have the physical address in front of me. I mean, I guess I could Google it. Mab, or any of you guys that are in here, do you guys know like the starting point or what's the name of the street that Nancy's on? And then I'll go to Bashaw's because I can map it out and you guys can see. We can see it together. I just don't know what Nancy Guthrie's address is right off the top. I can look for it though, of course. If you guys know, drop it in chat.
Had the foreknowledge to show up and not just stage the blood, but also deposit expert there. And what I mean by that is you've got blood that is being blown out of the nose and the mouth. And I'm going to stand by that. There's a close up. You look at the top right, that cluster. Yeah, right in there. In that tile space right there, you see those big depositions that are like the size of a nickel, perhaps, those tiny depositions. Nancy, the only way you get that, I mean, I guess the person could have showed up with a turkey baster, maybe drawn up some blood and kind of blasted it out and then allowed grab.
I'm glad that he's saying this because this is the second time we're going to debunk the theory that she never made it home. Okay, I think it's so hilarious how Joe Morgan said that. That is the only way they would be able to do that is if they literally did something to her, got a vial of blood, and then they tried to replicate what would really happen. Not going to happen. All right. Mount Lemon is a long highway up with campgrounds. I doubt they took her. I just want to see up that route. Okay. Thank you. 5820 Camino Escalante. That's all. Yeah. They took a turkey baster and replicated that. Sure. And that's where I don't get into those conspiracy theories. People do.
Gravitational blood droplets, which would be the nickel-sized stuff, but those tiny little droplets. And let me set the record straight. That's not aspirate, it's expirate. So what that means is that the blood is actually.
You do hear yourself, right? The killer came back with a turkey baster full of Nancy Guthrie's blood. Okay. I don't usually cut your mic, but I am sorely tempted. Move forward.
Oh my God.
No, listen, it's implausible. The physical science, just looking at those images, by the way, that were generated from a member of the media that walked up and took those pictures because the scene was unsecured. That deposition right there flies in the face of that, Nancy. It really does. And I cannot imagine that whoever this rocket scientist is that did this had the foreknowledge to come in and set this up and stage it up. Because that expert up there,
You know,
that's
Joe
not
Scott, while
aspirin,
I've got
right?
you, a lot of viewers have questioned the fact that, oh, these photos are from our friends at Fox News, by the way. A lot of viewers have questioned foliage being on top of the blood, which could have happened in any number of ways. But could you weigh in on that before I go to our other guests?
Yeah, because you have, it's just basic physical science. If you have the blood.
She just cut him right off. He's basically telling you guys and me and everybody else, like, look, let's debunk this theory now. Nothing happened to her outside of the house where they faked bringing her home. All right. They didn't fake bringing her home and sprays them. That's what he's trying to go for. Is like, that's ridiculous. The psychic said Nancy Guthrie kept in the house. What do you mean? Where, what house was she kept in? Whose house and where? Jay, do you want, wait, Jay, what do you think about what I said with the Savannah up? The Savannah up. I'm trying to think of what you said. All right, let's continue because I'm looking at the map and I want to see what how it looks on my end. It looks a lot different than that with the chef. Hold on.
Deposition right there. How in the world did the greenery get on top of the blood? I've actually heard people say, well, there's evidence that there are bits of foliage with blood deposited on top of it. So I think that's going to be a big question here. And again, hey, Nancy, guess what? We don't know because the scene wasn't secured. These images that you're seeing do not come from the police. All right. You've had what? Pizza delivery guys, pool boys.
Okay, you're going down the garden path. You're way out in the weeds. Let's get it back in the middle of the road. You don't think that theory works, right? That's what I'm talking about.
No, I don't think it works. Absolutely not.
I mean, you had to really do a backflip and involve.
He's basically saying, listen, dummies, that shit didn't happen. Aliens didn't come. Sasquatch didn't come. Chupacabra didn't come. None of those came. Thank you, Sandy. I'm looking it up right now. I do not like hearing conspiracy theories. Look, I know, and that happens. How far they'll go in the Sebastian case. That's why I'm trying to keep it on track just a little bit so that we're not going off just way out there, right? And that's what he's saying as well. Like that just didn't happen, all right? That's not plausible.
All the turkey baster to make that theory work. Okay, Cheryl McCollum, what about it? And, Bricado, really smart guy. I don't know where this theory came from. What do you make of it?
If you look at the 90-degree angle drops, some of them are clear in the center or have a half moon. The only way that happens is if they have air. That comes from the nose or the mouth, period. You could not take blood, transfer it, drop it, and have it say, have that same conclusion. How does the foliage get on top of the blood? That's easy. We see him on video placing that flower clump on top of the camera. At some point, they fell off. That's easy.
Okay, to you, Brian Fitzgibbons. You have gone all around the world finding missing people. I've got a lot of questions for you about Sonora, Mexico, but if you could weigh in on what Bricado said.
This guy's so serious, Mr. Serious Face. He better help solve it. All right, thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, it's just, again, it just sounds ridiculous, and I think that's why he said that, because it's like, hey, once you hear yourself say you sprayed blood from a syringe or a turkey baster, guys, this is not the perfect crime, and in my opinion, this will be solved. Thank you. I looked up Bashaw's, and it said Tucson, Arizona. I think the address, however, was 15310 North Oracle Road. Okay, there's a different one. It's the 2000 River Road. There's two different ones that are right there, so I don't know which one's which. Let me double check.
And again, he is no idiot, but this theory that she was kidnapped or killed in another location and the perp came back to stage the scene to make us think it happened there, it flies in the face of all the physical evidence. You've got to follow the physical evidence, like the blood, like the pacemaker.
I'll defer to Cheryl McCollum and Joe Scott on the forensic side, but what I'll add is someone like Dr. Bricado provides such supporting fires for someone like me in the field. And I'll explain this. An investigator can get locked into a certain hypothesis, a certain theory, right? Mm-hmm. And where you bring in somebody like Dr. Bricado to present these potential hypotheses, yeah, maybe the forensic evidence shoots it down.
I don't think that's it, my friend. Cuff you, I did the map and it doesn't make sense to me. So let me show you. I'm gonna pause this just for a second so we could be on the same page. Everybody, there's the map, guys. There's the map. This is all they've given us at this point. We can see Bashaz is at the end point, and obviously it's coming from it would be from Nancy's house, them kidnapping her, to I don't know why Bashaz. But when I look at that map, it's all windy and it goes around. It's not a straight shot like this one does. So let's just take a look real quick here. When I look here, that does not look the same at all, right? I mean, I'm going right from the house. 59. Oh, did they give me the wrong road? What is the address to you guys see what I'm there where I'm going? 5820 Camino Escalante. All right. They gave me the wrong thing. 5820 Camino Escalante. All right, watch the map. I still don't think that's the right one. If you look at that and you look at that's the map that Annie provided to them, and that's the map that I'm showing you right there. So I don't think that's it, guys. I don't think that's it. Keep trying to click the map to screen. No, it's there. The chupacabras must have came because that map, unless it's the alternate, it's the bottom route. There it is. Okay. You see this? See this route? This is not the route. Guess what? This is right here. So what they're saying is she didn't go this way. Listen, you could only go left or you could only go right, is what Nancy said earlier. Okay? Only left or only right. So when I go here, you could only go left, you could only go right. She's basically saying that they went that way. Instead of going right, they went left. Look at what I have up, and then look at this. You guys see it now? I just want to make sure we're on the same page. Damn, I keep dropping my stuff today. And my phone's not working. What happened? Technical error. Okay, look. There's the map, guys. The Chupacabra. Savannah, her daughter Nancy, had their nails done. Christmas on the spa in North Campbell. Annie wasn't with them. It's an expensive place. 8520. Yeah, I don't think it's 8520. Either way, we got it. Okay, look at the map there, and then look at what I mapped there. It's the same. You see the shape of it and everything. It's just farther out. So let me zoom in a bit. And maybe it's a hair off if it's 8250 or 5280. All right. But you can see where she's saying, okay, they didn't go. They wouldn't have taken this as a straight shot, but they probably took this. Now, if I'm wrong, correct me. All right. Hey, Ray, good to see you. Okay, Miss Amy, you're wrong. I know, I think it's 5820, but either way, I mean, we can see what's going on. And sometimes people will just throw numbers in there to throw me off. The sound doesn't work or whatever, okay? Green Toenail Salon is somewhere I'd go. I don't even know why are we talking about the salon? Because they went there. I mean, they probably went to all of these places, right? So from here, so this must be Nancy's house. Zoom in. Right? Come on. Zoom in. That's it right there. Is that Nancy's house? No, 5764, and it's 5820. Why is it not? It keeps putting me back to here. Hold on. 5280. Is it? Why does it keep changing me to that? Anyway, I don't know. I don't know why they picked this route. I have no idea. And I probably should have done this before, but I didn't. So I'm not even going to attempt to do it right now. Let's get this back up. Hold on. Let's finish this. Because I'm getting like the wrong points. It's just defaulting. And I don't want to do that. I'm not going to do that live.
Quickly, maybe it takes a day or two to shoot it down, but it gives another angle for the investigation to look at. And sometimes that creates a breakthrough, right? Because I can say for myself, sometimes I'll get locked into one hypothesis or theory versus another. And someone like that presenting, hey, there's someone controlling this from afar, 1 foot soldier on the ground executing the abduction, right? These are things that might get missed.
And we
on the
know
ground by
tonight that,
investigators.
quote, fresh eyes have been brought in Fitzgibbons to take a fresh look.
Yeah. So, okay. So what I'm going to finish off on that map thing by saying that the only thing I could think of why she would tell them to go that way is because it would be the less obvious way. When you look at the map going that way, it would be like all over the place, all down, all up. Why wouldn't someone do the straight shot? Wouldn't there be more cameras in the straight shot? I don't know. I got your email, and thank you so much for the $2 super chat. It's going to be Arizona. In my opinion, it's going to be soon. And it's hard for me to get behind that. Kathy, now I know that Savannah had a surgery, and after she had the surgery, the whole world knew about it. And just weeks after she had her surgery, being recovered, Nancy was taken, and then the day she went back to work, then she got the ransom. So what you're saying is the vocal cord surgery, you're saying it's coinciding with that surgery and someone trying to torture her. I mean, it's a theory, but I just don't think that they would do all of this just to piss her off. No other gain? I don't know. Maybe. Thank you, Deborah. I appreciate that. I just don't want to start doing that. Annie's special powers needs to be fine-tuned. I think her spirit guides are misdirecting her. So at least I understand what's going on with this. When you go down this way, why would you go down that way when if you go left or you go right? Okay. You're coming out of the house and you can only go 2 ways. If you go right, it's just a complete straight shot down the road. If you go left, then you got to go around and all through town. And if you go through that map, you've got Circa 79 Salon, you've got the school elementary, you've got Bashaw's, you've got a lot down there. You got the North Massage Nail Salon, cameras, and cameras. All right. Yeah, I know it's because they had it the opposite way, but when you zoom out, you can see there's a road that runs straight across. And that's not what she mapped out for him. She mapped out the complete opposite of what that is. All right. Yeah, hit that like button, yo. What's up, Jacqueline? Even if they identify the suspect, yes, I agree. I think they have way more information than we think, guys. I really do. I think we're gonna get some breaking news very soon that they're gonna have a suspect in custody.
At the evidence all over again. And I got to tell you something, Fitz. I'd be stuck in my office at the district attorney's office in downtown Atlanta, and it'd be 8 o'clock at night. I'd be looking at the same thing over and over. And then my investigator, Ernest, we were together over 10 years, only had one fight in 10 years over that POS O.J. Simpson. That said, he'd walk in, say, why are you still here? And I'd tell him, and he would say just out of the blue, well, what about X? He was coming from a different point of view, something fresh. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's what's happening tonight, we're told.
100%. And that's where, a talented individual like Dr. Bricado, hey, Babe Ruth struck out a number of times at home plate, right? He also hit a lot of home runs. So, that's where that experience and brain power comes into play.
All right. Now, thank you, Kathy, for that. Again, you guys should go check out Kathy's channel. She has the KH Crime Lab. She's coming out with a ton of theories right now. Yeah, the breaking news when you're at CrimeCon. Okay, so then I go back to this, and thank you for that because my co-pilot is not working right now. The map route allegedly shared by Annie Guthrie, the daughter of Nancy Guthrie, was allegedly created to assist in the investigation of her mother's disappearance on January 31st. Now, the map is focusing on a 7-mile stretch between West Sunset and North First Avenue. It was sent to a local neighborhood group chat. And that's probably why we didn't get it until now, because Annie sent it to the people in the group chat to prompt their the people to look at their dash cams, doorbells, any cameras that they have. And they say the reasons for highlighting this route is because it's desolate landscape and it might be less traffic, fewer lights, and darker. And then also there's a potential escape route where the path's isolation makes it ideal for a perpetrator, which is weird because I see so many more things down here, but maybe it's darker there. Maybe it's darker. I'm just thrown off by the fact that they say the map that covers the area surrounding that is believed to have occurred around 2 to 3 a.m. and it was intended for a community-driven investigation tool, encouraging neighbors in specific areas to share their camera footage. Oh, that it makes me uncomfortable that they're having somebody that's not yet cleared telling you where to go, but they're not looking themselves. I don't know.
And tonight to Dave Mack, apparently Sheriff Nanos, the sheriff in Pima County, is in, quote, uncharted career territory. A 10-day deadline has run out. He's in hot water yet again. Dave Mack, is this anything like when...
And you guys just asked about that. You said, isn't the 10 days up? Yes. What are they doing right now? Nothing. I don't understand why that damn neighborhood is so damn dark. Oh my goodness. Well, when you look at it, it's 7.6 miles, but it's 21 minutes because you're in all the windy stuff and you could see the curves and there's probably mountains when we zoomed out. The other one is just a straight shot, right? It's just like you go right and then straight through. Not all this mumbo jumbo. Okay, let's continue. Maybe it will mean something later on, but I don't know.
You get a skunk at a softball game when the other side just doesn't show up. In other words, doesn't sufficiently hand in the filing, so the other side wins.
A lot like that, Nancy. In reality, Nanos was given 10 days to turn in a response to the questions the council had. And what he did was he basically sat down with his lawyer and wrote up excuses for things, but it wasn't under oath. So he turned in basically an undocumented list of excuses for his behavior and the things that he had said, but not under oath. And now the council's having to determine moving forward with his entire future. We told him to do this, but he did that instead. So they're having to make a decision on whether or not they actually pull him back in, put him under oath, and go through this whole process all over again to discuss his previous accusations of lying and misusing his office during an election year.
Cheryl McCollum, don't you know that if they can get rid of him on a technicality, in other words, he didn't properly fill out these forms, he'll get the boot. Right. He'll be taking the pat and turn or pat the street and turn.
Is there anybody in that area? Thank you, Sky Angel, so very much for the $2 super sticker. Is there anybody in that area that that has seen anything going on with Sheriff Nanos? Like anybody that knows anything? He hasn't said a word. Well, maybe he has. He ruled something out, but he hasn't given any more information, any direction. He hasn't said anything about anything. Is he still the person in charge? Does anyone know? Hey, Mindy, good to see you. I'm glad you popped in. There's a lot of people covering this case, but I feel like we just don't have anything new. If you have a body in your car, you're going to want to get out quickly. I know. I agree with that too, Tucson girl. That's my problem, and why when I look at the map, I'm like, why in the hell would you go that way when you can go faster and get right out of town than to go in the body? You're right. Psychic reader said Nancy will be found soon. Yeah, well, he's still in charge right now. Damn it. And I agree. And that's why I think that this is the opposite of what happened here. When you have a straight shot, why in the hell would you do that? I wouldn't.
In the corner. Bye.
And Nancy, that is only going to serve to hurt this investigation. Somebody would have to come in and they would have to start all over, go through every single thing. That would hamper the investigation, sadly. But let me tell you something. I don't think any of us on this panel has had all the confidence in the world in this sheriff. Statements like, your guess is as good as mine. When he says things like, oh, there's thousands of vehicles at that time of day. We all know that's not possible. You know, he is the one that said, oh, I believe she's still alive. Again, I don't think there's an expert out there that believes Nancy Guthrie is still alive. Nobody being held somewhere. So he's flip-flopped. He's given bad information. He's contradicted himself. There's not a lot of, trust in what he's doing. But anybody would hate to see all of this happening now. I feel for the family.
Yeah, that's the thing is if they pull him out now publicly, they want to. But if they do, then what's going to happen? And I wanted to welcome Danielle 888 to the Crime Crew official. I saw that you signed up earlier. You joined our channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The board meets this month about it, okay? And it's the 4th, May 4th. May the 4th be with you guys, right? Any fans? All right, let's continue. We have 264 people still here. If I came out with conspiracy theories, we might have 1,264, but I just can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to talk about alien abductions. I won't do
The
it.
Guthrie family is not getting what they deserve in this investigation, period.
Oh, goodness, no. But to you, Joe Scott Morgan, I don't know that I agree if it would be such a bad thing for nanos to be replaced, even though it is midstream.
Yeah, I don't think that it would be, but we have to look at this from a very, let's take the 30,000-foot view on this, Nancy, and you know this better than anybody.
Back out.
What's this going to bode for the future of the investigation and for if they hook somebody up on this?
And think about this too. This guy he's a narcissistic piece of, in my opinion, garbage sheriff. If they were to kick him out right now, do you guys really think that he, with honesty and integrity, would just walk away and say, okay, thank you. Here's all the evidence I've collected and all the work I've done? I don't think so. I literally think he would be just an asshole and purposely not hand over information or evidence. He's already been doing that. He did that with the initial hair DNA sample. Had he turned that over to FBI guys, we probably would have known by now. Something would have came back by now. Okay? No, hell no. Just imagine you at work when you get fired. Well, I've never been, so I've only had a couple jobs in my life. You get fired, or you're the manager, you fire a coworker. They're not going to be like, oh, here's what I do all day, and here's what I've been doing the last 10 years. Let me make sure I get that to you. Oh, no, you missed something. That's not going to happen, guys. Yeah, right? He reminds me of Bill Clinton. He is a egotistical, narcissistic, awful sheriff. He was never supposed to be elected in the first place. He beat somebody almost to death when they were handcuffed. I just listened to that today. All right, Caleb, we have to wait until July 21st to vote him out. But did you hear that he beat someone almost to death that had their handcuffs on? And then he covered that up, resigned, and lied on this one. That's why he's in office. I just can't comprehend why they don't pull him out. Take his little hands away from everything and pull him out.
What's it going to bode for that prosecution, perhaps? You know that the attorneys will have a field day with this. They'll say that there's, it's rife with incompetence, that you missed evidence, all these sorts of things. And isn't it funny? Isn't it funny how those things that you do at the beginning of any investigation are going to echo through time? And this case in and of itself is a benchmark for that. I got to tell you, Nancy, moving forward with this case, this is actually a case as a college professor that I will present for years to come, saying this is an example, kids, of what not to do. And here we are. We're still in the middle of it. And
oh no, we're in the middle of it right now, Vicky. It's not about him having 3 years left. They've realized everything has come to light about what he has done and his lies. And they gave him was it a 10-page? They gave him let's say what was it called? What they call that? Some kind of assessment. They asked him to answer the questions under oath and do it to his best ability. Well, guess what? He answered the questions. He had his lawyer answer the questions. They weren't under oath and they didn't say anything. They didn't answer the questions. So when you hear him up here talking, Sheriff Nanos, and saying there's thousands of cars out there that night and all the stuff he's doing, that's the same thing that he did in the documentation that they asked him to return, to fill out under oath and return. He didn't fill it under oath, and he didn't even answer the questions properly. Anybody else with me? Do you guys, are we on the same page now? It has nothing to do at this point with waiting 3 years to vote him out. They want to get him now, and that's why they're pushing this forward. All right. All right. Hello, all. Hey, Gardner, you know that. But but since that came out, they are saying there might be something they can do to get him out. They're not waiting for 3 years. I'm going to look further into that. And then when I redo the episode, when I give you guys an update, I'll let you know, because they are saying that there are other ways to get him out now that they've done this particular process. All right. So before they gave him that, it was different than now after they gave him the questions and what he
It
did.
just keeps getting more and more bizarre as we go down this road.
You know, Fitz, after there have been a number of, to say euphemistically, putting perfume on the pig, missteps, translation, screw ups, is there a way to make a save on this case?
I think there is. There's been a tremendous amount of leads generated, a tremendous amount of digital evidence. And it's important to remember here, there's a game clock on here. And the game clock for the public, 88 days, and for the Guthrie family, it's tremendously heartbreaking. But the FBI controls that game clock, not the perpetrator of this crime. And they have an unlimited amount of time and resources to go through this evidence and find who did this crime. Okay. So that's an important piece to remember here. I don't think hope is lost that justice can be served in this case.
Well, you just said something that is very encouraging, Brian Fitzgibbon.
I mean, I hope justice is served, but we want to bring Nancy Guthrie home, right? Isn't that the whole point? No, for sure. Definitely, Vicky. I'm just trying to work it out in my mind about why they originally said he needed to be voted out. They gave us a amount. They told us it had to be anonymous. And then after that, they busted out with a response. They asked him to give him a response to the, what was it, a 12-page something document, and then he had 10 days. All right, Sheriff Dano's term. Yeah, so I think they're trying to go a different route. December 31st. They said something other than that though. Watch, let me take a look at this. That was prior to his response. Let me show you. All right. Supervisor responds to Pima County Sheriff Nanos. Okay, now this was 12 days ago, and we heard last that he had 10 days to go.
Chapter in the back and forth between the Pima County supervisors and Sheriff Chris Nanos. New questions after the lawyer representing the sheriff responded to a list of questions posed by the supervisors 2 weeks ago. Now, one supervisor says the sheriff's job could be on the line. News for Tucson's Andrew Capasso reports from downtown with more on where things stand right now.
This is that response from the lawyer representing Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos to the Board of Supervisors. In this, answers to questions on a range of topics like budget management, the sheriff's resume, and working with federal law enforcement leaders. The 23-page response addresses the questions point by point, the sheriff's lawyer using phrases like "not so" several times.
This is what we're talking about here. So prior to this investigation, yes, they had to have everybody had to be unanimously voting him out. We had to wait until 2028. But after this, they're saying, this is what they're saying. And he did not respond correctly, didn't do it under oath. And look at these responses they're saying. It's almost embarrassing, guys.
Also saying claims of wrongdoing, quote, lack a basis in fact. The supervisors sending the list in line with Arizona Revised Statute 11253. The first line of that 3-sentence statute says, quote, the board may require any county officer to make reports under oath on any matter connected with the duties of his office and may require the officer to give such bonds or further bonds as may be necessary for the faithful performance of his respective duties. Supervisor Matt Hines, the one who put this before the board, says not only does he have a problem with the responses here,
I think the answers are incredibly problematic.
He also says they aren't under oath.
The whole point of this was to get sworn testimony from the sheriff to clear this up, to answer these questions for the people, for the county. They deserve these responses. And it looks to me at this point, he's not willing to sign his name to it.
The lawyer for the sheriff telling me the answers here are all true. And if supervisors want something saying that, he'll gladly send it. Sheriff Nanos turning down a request from me for an on-camera interview. But in a statement, the department says, quote, the Board of Supervisors posted the sheriff's responses online. The board has not taken action yet, and it would be inappropriate at this point. So the big question now is what happens next? Well, the Board of Supervisors is set to meet again on May 12th. That's when they once again, behind closed doors in executive session, will review these answers, see where things stand, and then decide what.
All right, so we have to wait until May 12th, my friends, okay? May 12th, they're going to give us a response as to what they're going to do. Now, as we wrap up, I want to share this again for those that weren't in there. It doesn't matter what side you're on. I'm on the side of Nancy Guthrie and bringing her home. All right. Jennifer Coffendorfer, I don't know why she's pushing it so hard. Again, I'm not exactly sure what the motivation, or if there's a financial motivation, but she posted this 3 days ago, and she says, below is my son-in-law. His name's Tommaso Cioni. Some people think he abducted and murdered Nancy. Some people think he's the porch guy. Despite the obvious facial differences, some believe he's a puppeteer who hired the porch guy goon who took Nancy. They have confirmation bias and see what they want to see. But Jen, I think you have confirmation bias with Cioni and Annie and Tommaso. He's a teacher, a husband, a father, and a mushroom hunter. He likes to cook. He likes Nancy. He took care of her. He played board games with her. They were family. Who will the this is like trying to, I guess, scare people. Who will the family sue when this is all over for defaming a guy, all because he drove his mother-in-law of 20 years back home instead of making her take an Uber? Is Italian, has a beard, and sings in a grunge band. I'm not even sure what that means or why that part is relevant, but here we go. Let's watch this another time or two, and then we will say goodnight. I just don't know how she can confidently say this. Nobody can, really. And there's sound on it, but it's just music. Sherlock Homegirl's in the house. Member for 9 months. Thank you. We miss you. I miss saying Sherlock Homegirl. No, I know, right? So I watched this so many times just because I wanted to see the way he moves. So in the beginning, when I was watching this video, I saw him do this, and then I remembered the knock on the door, and I was like, wait, you remember how when the person, I'm not saying he's the door guy, it just connected to me for the two. And when you see him do that, I was like, hey, why does that remind me of the way he walked up to the front door and kind of did that, you know? I know, maybe he ate the wrong mushrooms that night and something happened. I quit watching her talk about how great she is. Oh, band in fit. That's the whole thing. Earlier, I said I read a statement that said no kidnappers would do, or they'd back off. Kidnappers would back off the moment the ransom went public. But let me tell you, the kidnappers are the ones that made the ransom public. Make that make sense. I know. It's getting pretty old. Again, I'm not saying that he's not the porch guy. I'm saying he's the porch guy. I'm just saying, look at the video and look at the connections. All right. I'm not saying Tommaso is not the porch guy. I'm not saying he is. All right. And any of you guys can have your theories. I'm not going to roll my eyes at you and talk crap to you. This is what I said at the beginning of this episode. We can have any theory because we don't know anything new. New twist in the case. There's a map of a killer we now know. Theories debunked, and sheriff rejects plant thief. That's it. That's all. We don't have anything else. All right. I'm going to play this and then we're going to say goodnight. All right. Just see how he moves. That's who he is. And hey, I'm playing him. I read her statement. And hey, he's a dad, a father, a husband, a good guy, he's a great guy. He loved Nancy and he would never do anything to her. Okay, there you go. But that's what piqued my interest, was seeing that, because she was so adamant about just inflating him when we don't know anything about him. That's all we know. This is all we have. That's it. That's all, guys. All right. Are we sure? Are we sure what? Yeah, no, I only show that to say that circle. We keep coming back to the same circle, and every time we have people, investigators come on, they talk about connections, more than one person, And if you start looking at the people that they actually did detain, it's all the same damn people that are in the circle that we've been looking at the whole time. So let me let's go to real quick. My little terabyte's not coming up. Dang it. I got the 2 terabytes and it's not coming up. Anyway, the circle keeps circling back to Annie and Tommaso. Again, maybe they had absolutely nothing to do with it. Maybe he was mushroom hunting and venting to somebody. All right. Maybe he was mushroom hunting and he said, "Oh, I'm so tired. It's so hard to take care of this 84-year-old, my mother-in-law. She gets cranky." Who knows, right? We don't know. But we don't know anything more than we did the first 48 hours 3 months ago. Yeah, I know. You're right. No, actually, I think until we get the DNA evidence back, I guess that will be before. I need a sweet snack. Trotter daughter. I think I'll go make cookies. All right, guys. We've been here 2.5 hours. And again, we just went back in a circle like we've done, but with all new information. And that's all we can do. So we rule out the plant cactus thief. We don't know about this guy. We never heard about him again. We never heard about him again. This was odd. We forgot all about this and how over dramatic it was. So where are we left? Back at this. That's it. That's all. All right. We got to wait for the DNA. Yep, you're right. That's it. So remember when you go when you're seeing like all these other chats or you're seeing all this AI stuff, found Nancy's body in the backyard. It's clickbait, guys. Thank you, Tucson girl. I'm glad that you came here. I appreciate everyone. Happy Monday. Thank you, Lil Red. Did you drop your you guys put her link in chat? Did you email me? Can you send me that, Lil Red? Because I can't remember the channel name and I can't copy it. Anyway, good night, everybody. Kathy, go to bed. It's bedtime, my friend. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Same time, same place, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern. And thank you, guys. I appreciate all of you. CrimeCon's coming. Go get your tickets, yo. Mwah. Good night.
Guilty of crime.
I want to thank you, content. Please share this video, like, and subscribe. You can also follow me over at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, or Gmail. If you'd like to donate to my channel, you can use Cash App or Venmo or PayPal. Thank you very much in advance. Guilty of crime.
Are you guilty of crime?